Bobby Dodd proudly displayed in Atlanta. And on a sunny afternoon across the Deep South, Georgia Tech hosts Miami. For the last 3 years, the Miami-Georgia Tech rivalry has been dominated by the Hurricanes. And now, after losing the first outing of 2012 in Blacksburg, Tech is caught in a must-win September storm. Get set for a Coastal Division clash from historic Grant Field in hot Atlanta. It's the Canes and the Jackets on ACC College Football Saturday. Ideal weather, 83 degrees on this first day of autumn, greeting the arrival of the Yellow Jackets on the campus of Georgia Tech. A rousing welcome and a crowd of over 50,000 inside historic Bobby Dodd Stadium, along with the Miami Hurricanes, ready for our opening kickoff on this ACC College Football Saturday, presented by Coors Light. Both teams stand 2-1 on this young season. Now will it be Miami or Georgia Tech that earns a most important second conference win? Two good teams out of the ACC's Coastal Division. Welcome to Atlanta. Alongside Keith Jones, I'm Paul Kennedy. Steve Burns just ahead from field level. A pivotal game for both schools. For our hosts in Georgia Tech, expected to contend for the ACC championship, a second conference loss in the month of September would make this problematic.
You know, these ACC coaches really don't like playing those early conference games. Of course, Georgia Tech played Virginia Tech. Hokies prevail, so they're one down in the loss column. They can't afford to go two down in September.
Tech's strength, its spread option. Since 2008, the Yellow Jackets have rushed for more yards than any school in major college football.
And this year actually averaged more yardage on the ground than even last year, and it starts with their quarterback in Tevin Washington. He's the guy that triggers everything, and you, Paul, accurately called it the spread option. The triple option, as we like to call it, is only one of the packages that's available in the spread option.
Tevin Washington triggers at the quarterback, nearing 2,000 career rushing yards, 2,500 career passing yards. Quite a talent. The quarterback on the other side of the field, Stephen Morris, needs to play well effectively today with a win. Get this, it would be 4 straight victories by the Hurricanes at the expense of Georgia Tech.
And it does start with Stephen Morris. He has got to be able to stay in the pocket, work his way around the pocket, and deliver the ball downfield. They don't have to go over the top, do the Hurricanes. They can go intermediate and short routes. But if Morris takes off too many times, if he ends up with more rushing attempts, that is a recipe for disaster for the Hurricanes.
So in the big picture, the keys to success as presented by Ford for Miami's Al Golden and Tech's Paul Johnson.
Well, for Miami, and particularly in defensively, they've got to be able to have gap control and play on the edge. Assignment football against this spread option attack of Paul Johnson. For Tech, it's real simple. They've lost 3 times in a row to Miami because they've turned the ball over. Ball security of utmost importance to Georgia Tech here this afternoon.
On a sunny day as fall arrives in Atlanta, two teams rich in tradition collide once again. Miami arrives in Grant Field to challenge Georgia Tech in the 60th anniversary season of Atlantic Coast Conference football. College Football Saturday is brought to you by Coors Light, by Toyota, and by CPI Security. The sights of Atlanta, the skyline of the capital of Georgia, and the 120th season of Tech football in this city. And here comes the Rambling Wreck and Georgia Tech. And the Hurricanes, who opened the season with a victory on the road over Boston College, led out by their head coach, Al Golden. They have a ground game, too. We saw it last week. We have a fast track on which to run this afternoon. Here's our pit reporter, Grant Field, in Steve Burns.
Thank you very much, Paul. An honor to be with you guys. What a set of wheels true freshman Duke Johnson has for Miami. He's already scored 6 touchdowns, amassed 638 yards, total yards, and last week he scored 3 different ways. He rushed one in, he caught a touchdown, and he returned a kickoff 95 yards. He has given the Hurricane fans a lot to be hopeful for.
They call him the Duke of Coral Gables, and he's playing just his 4th college game, the ACC's Rookie of the Week, in his home field debut at Sun Life Stadium in South Florida. Now, Miami won the toss, will elect to receive, so the Yellow Jackets, trying to pump up the crowd, will be kicking off, and the man who wears a tie and honor of his mom to make her proud, Al Golden, in his second season, arrives here. He had the formula a year ago, Keith, in South Florida, to once again upend Paul Johnson and Georgia Tech.
As we've talked about, Miami a little bit dominant in this series, though Tech owns the overall series record 10-7. Miami has won the last 3.
David Scully to boot it away. Half of his kickoffs so far this year as he kicks it from the 35. Have not been returned for a touchdown. There's hardly any breeze, but there was enough of a gust there that it fell off the tee. And he will reset it and be kicking deep to the tandem of Philip Dorsett, sophomore wide receiver, along with the Duke and Duke Johnson. A lot of hype for Johnson. It'll be interesting to see how he handles today as he trades Bethune-Cookman College for Georgia Tech on the road in Atlanta, and the rest of this his first year. And as Al Seraldo used to say, toe meets leather. And he's wise enough. He's Duke to down it in the end zone. And here will come Miami Hurricanes under Stephen Morris, the junior from Miami, who has thrown for over 200 yards in each of his first 3 outings for the Kings.
Well, Morris opened up the 2011 season as the starter with Ja'Cory Harris suspended for the first game, but spent most of last season as the backup. You see his numbers this year. Good completion percentage. They'd like for him to get the ball out of the pocket a little better, not be so quick to run out of the pocket. We'll see how that develops against this Georgia Tech defense.
They open in the eye. That is the senior Mike James at the tailback position. And he'll take a handoff on first down, bounce forward, stretch it out across the 30, up to the 31-yard line, running behind another freshman, number 74, and Eric Flowers, the tackle, did a good job on our initial snap. As offered by Toyota, there is Eric Flowers to lead this offensive line.
Experienced except for Flowers in the backfield. Keep your eye on Philip Dorsett. If he can get outside and get down the field, he's a big threat for this Miami Hurricane offense.
Well, he makes a first down catch here, tumbling to the ground at the 35-yard line. The sophomore from Fort Lauderdale, the leading receiver, coming off a career day last week when he had 6 grabs in the win at home. That's his 13th of this season, and the number 4 is quite appropriate. He runs a 4-4.
4-3-5, actually.
4-4. He is facing the Tech defense, coordinated by the veteran Al Groh, a 3-4. Deep drop Morris, and look at this arm. He may have 6 right away with that 4-4 speed. There is number 4, and that's a touchdown. 64 yards.
Confusion in the Tech backfield. No reason to let Dorsett get that open. Isaiah Johnson in pursuit. Watch the right-hand side. Nice drop. And just confusion in that Tech backfield. No way Johnson's going to catch Dorsett. 6 points, Miami.
Philip Dorsett's very first touchdown reception of this his sophomore year. Officially 65 yards. Jake Whiteclaw to add the extra point. How about that? If Miami is going to prevail today against favorite Georgia Tech, you couldn't have a better start than this. Playing with the lead early. End of a 65-yard run and catch from his quarterback, Stephen Morris, to shock the crowd in Grant Field.
Didn't take long, did it?
Jake Whiteclaw, the senior from New Lenox, Illinois, who added the extra point to kick to Orrin Smith along with Jamal Golden. Orrin Smith, a prolific kick returner, 1,400 career yards. And here he comes. He gets the edge and a burst. See why he's so good. Out of the 32-yard line, that's a 30-yard return by Orrin Smith. And another look, KJ, at the strike.
Well, Miami's offense starts with their offensive line. They've got to be able to protect Morris. I don't think you could draw it up any better than right here. And keep your eye on what Morris is looking at. He's going to have a wide-out receiver and Dorsett, and he delivers the ball right on target.
His coach and Al Golden said that Morris can make every throw in the book. We have seen the air attack. How about the ground game on first down? packed like a fist at 5'7". Robert Godhigh on the first carry behind this offensive line. They call him the Goon Squad. It's presented by Toyota. For Georgia Tech, Orrin Smith returned the kickoff following the Miami touchdown. The defense in just a moment. On the pitch to the near side, here comes Orrin Smith. They scored against Virginia. The second offensive snap on a rumble of 77 yards on this play when they exploded against the Cavaliers a week ago for 56.
There's your fake. Second option, the quarterback. Third is the pitch. They do a good job of the wide receiver on the outside, getting just a little bit of the corner, and that allows Smith to motor upfield.
For 16, KJ. In the spread option and pounding the middle. Zach Lasky, the sophomore, tucks it and takes it. Hammers the inside. And the defensive front, it'll be a 4-3 base look for the Canes as presented by Toyota.
Cheon Green on the outside leads this team in tackles. You see the linebackers will get to the backfield in just a moment.
Anthony Chickolo, his second season starting at defensive end, comes blowing through to drop Washington for a loss.
And if you can get a tackle or a defensive end to be able to wrap up the quarterback before he gets outside that tackle box, you're going to go a long, long way to stalling and shutting down this Georgia Tech offense. Third and long.
Chickolo finished third in the ACC's Rookie of the Year balloting a year ago as a freshman. He's quite a talent for this young defense. Washington looks to pitch. He won't earn the first down on the late toss to B.J. Bostic. It was in the backfield, but it almost looked to be forward, didn't it?
It can be, as long as the quarterback is behind the line of scrimmage. There's your linebackers presented by Toyota, your linebackers for Miami, and your secondary. Brandon McGee back there, the old man.
Brandon McGee, a senior three-year letterman from Plantation, Florida. The head coach, Paul Johnson, calls all the plays. He's electing to go for it in Miami territory on fourth down. Washington. Off the pitch, Miami is swarming. Miami defends it perfectly. Orrin Smith dropped by the corner, Thomas Finney.
And Finney read this all the way. We'll get a look at it from the end zone. Watch your left-hand side. Finney comes crashing in to take the pitch man.
Whatever his key was,
he read it.
He read it. Al Golden saying that with his experience at Temple and facing Army and Navy every year with the option, and last year Georgia Tech with this option, he knows how to defend spreads or wishbones.
He and Mark D'Onofrio, who is the actual defensive coordinator, has told us 9 different times at Temple they faced the option.
Empty backfield. Washington throws high. Lucky that Jamal Golden didn't pick it off. Number 4, who is he throwing to? Golden is standing right there. Clearly he did not see him at second down. We thought he could get it over those arms of Golden.
There's Al Groh on the sideline, defensive coordinator for Georgia Tech. Look at both of these offenses, Paul, going a little hurry up here in the early going.
Asante Cleveland was on the wing, and here is Johnson. What a lateral cut to his left. And he'll pick up 4 yards. Steve, a nice juke there by Johnson.
And Paul, this game could not have started any better for Al Golden. He said we need to make turnovers, we need to score, we cannot play from behind.
And he does strike, if you're just joining us, on the third play of the afternoon, 65 yards. Morris, that has to help his confidence, finding a wide open Dorsett flying down the right sideline.
Bunch formation here to the left.
Onto motion. And flags down. Cleveland was coming in motion to the bottom of your screen, and there are 4.
Prior to the snap, ball start, offense, number 4, 5 yards, third down.
That would be the man that caught the touchdown pass in Dorsett.
Well, they started in a bunch formation and then ran the motion to the far side while the motion man was en route. Number 4, Dorsett, jumped just a little.
So that changes this to third and a long 11. Eduardo Clemens in the backfield for his quarterback. Here comes Rashawn Scott. This way, Dorsett. They get him in space, and he's able to reach the 47-yard line. He's hammered by Golden and Rod Sweeting. And there is Sweeting, who was actually born in Miami, a 4-year starter for Tech.
This is almost a delayed jailbreak screen. But Tech was all over it. Puts the ball in Tech territory. So far, Miami on the scoreboard and winning field position.
Dalton Bolts, who finished second last year in the Atlantic Coast Conference in punting, he averaged better than 42 yards per kick. He's the preseason All-Atlantic Coast Conference punter. See how deep he can pin these Yellow Jackets as he tumbles it. This is Jamal Golden, gets away from it. Look at this.
And he did not punt that ball, Paul. He almost drop kicked it.
It tumbled end over end.
Exactly.
The Jackets will have to start inside their 5. Look at Al Grove's defensive tackles, KJ.
I'm going to let you explain that to them.
We'd like to welcome those of you who are watching the Ole Miss Tulane game. Georgia Tech trying to get it going. Compact Robert Godhigh knocked down early by Casey Rogers. That is just a gain of a couple. And now in their initial series in this one play, that's all of 20 yards for Georgia Tech at the outset.
And that was the counter option. Quarterback will come out, turn one way, and then pivot and go back the other. Anything you can do to misdirect, shield, get on the edge.
Washington again pitches to the edge, and there is running room for B.J. Bostic. Barry Bostic, the sophomore from Louisville, Georgia. Knocked down by an Atlanta native, number 44, Eddie Johnson.
Another good job by Washington to deliver the ball out in front of the running back, allow him to cut upfield, run into the ball, grab it, and continue.
You see Johnson there, one of 3 Georgia natives starting for Miami today.
And one of 3 true freshmen. 2 of them starting here on defense.
On first down, there is that counter again, Washington. Out across the 21-yard line, we have a lost helmet on first down. So a Yellow Jacket's going to have to come off the field.
Ray Bino, the left tackle.
The junior on that left side. He will come out, and Tyler Kidney, number 69. He's made 6 starts, a former walk-on. For this one snap, the new rule in college football, as you probably know, he must depart. 88 is Darren Waller to the bottom of your picture. Tech spreads the field, trying to get the defense out of the box, and Washington wants to throw up top. There was contact, and that'll draw a flag on the edge.
Pass interference, defense, number 37, 15 yards, automatic first down.
Ladarius Gunter on the corner had him wrapped up while the ball was in the air.
I don't know so much that was interference as Waller just tried to run a slap over.
Well, he got the first down call.
Either
Gets
way.
the flag. That is the second flag of this opening quarter for Al Golden and Miami, playing with this first quarter lead. The outset of the Cavalier blowout a week ago, and that was record-setting for the second consecutive Saturday. Virginia put more than 50 on the board, and that hasn't happened since 1936. Lasky exploded on a 70-yard touchdown completion of his own from Tevin Washington.
And again, we've talked about it. Washington's so adept. You see his updated numbers, passing and rushing. He's counted for 7 touchdowns. So adept at making the correct reads in this spread option.
And on the roll, looking to pitch, surrounded by Canes. His helmet comes off. He'll have to leave the game. And he's hot as he stands up. He's a marked man at the outset. Kevin Kane, the defensive end. Tyrone Cornelius from Stone Mountain, Georgia, number 31.
They pull big lineman around Shaquille Mason. That's that counter option you see coming up. Number 59, Jimmy Gaines, who's getting the start today over injured Denzel Perryman. Off comes the lid, new quarterback.
And how about this, a shotgun for Vad Lee. Lee in, sets his feet, now takes off. Lee upended at the 40, and we have a Kane with his helmet on. Jimmy Gaines starting at middle linebacker, number 59. Don't you have 4 buckles on there, multiple connections? We've had 3 come off in this first quarter.
There's updated numbers coming into Saturday, at least for the ACC, in terms of that new rule. But a great read by Gaines that time on the quarterback draw.
Sean Poole off to an outstanding start. You know, Georgia Tech has not allowed a positive return so far this year. Look to rugby it toward Dorsett, and he'll get away from it. And Miami will start inside their 15-yard line, leading midway through our opening quarter by a touchdown in Atlanta. For the first meeting between these two teams in 1955, as presented by Wendy's First. That was the first game televised in color by our friends NBC, Peacock, and Living Color. And yes, here at Bobby Dodd Stadium, Bobby was the coach then, Hall of Famer. His legacy on display. KJ, by the way, still has a black and white television set. Morris flushed out of the pocket, heads to the sideline, gets out of bounds. Was able to scramble that way for about 3 yards. Quayshawn Neely, fine inside linebacker, chased him down.
Nice job downfield in the backfield by Algro's defensive backs and linebackers. Nowhere for Morris to go with the ball. Picks up a little bit of yardage, but that's not a play that Miami wants to see run often. Jed Fish, the offensive coordinator for Miami, continuing to stress to Morris, stay in the pocket and deliver the ball down the field via the pass.
Right, Keith. Allen Hurns, to the bottom of your picture, number 1, set out last week. He is back in there. He can fly. Headed this way. They're able to connect. The quarterback and Morris to Allen Hurns in front of the Tech bench against Algro's defense, Steve Burns.
He rallied the defense the last time Georgia Tech had the ball, and he was warning the defense for what they haven't seen yet from Miami. He said, watch wide receiver screens. They're showing them different formations.
Quick pass on the pipeline.
A professor who has been in this business close to 50 years in Algro. Well, dump on that short pass to Clyde Walford, the tight end. And that's a rugby scrum in front of the Tech bench. And the pile is moved outside the 30, but I think the ball will be spotted back inside that yard line.
It will be just enough for the first down. That was 3rd and short. And again, Paul, we didn't necessarily anticipate it, knew it was possible. But both of these teams going no huddle, a little bit of hurry up on both sides.
Algro's offensive coordinator, Jed Fish, spent a long time in the National Football League. And his ball's out. Look to be back to him. Isaiah Johnson with the hit out to the 33-yard line on the carry by Mike James. See if that ball popped out.
I don't know if it popped out or it just popped up. Good hit. Continues moving those legs, does James. He'll get another touch. We got a flag here on the near side.
He's a tough customer, is James, with the penalty marker down. And our referee today in this Atlantic Coast Conference crew is assigned by Doug Rhodes in the ACC office. We saw Jeff Heiser and this officiating team on opening day in Charlottesville, Virginia. The Cavaliers and the Richmond Spiders. Jeff Heiser from right here in Atlanta. Not have far to travel. Trying to get the line of scrimmage spotted correctly.
Illegal substitutions. Defense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Not the start Algro wants. So the bust on the home run touchdown pass and this penalty.
See Coach Grove there. He signals in the signals himself. Makes the call and signals himself. All 11 on defense. No huddle. Look to the sideline and get that signal.
There's not a middleman. He'll make the call and then someone else will signal it in. Another deep drop. Morris steps up. Again, Dorsett. All the way down inside the Tech 25-yard line. The marking out of bounds at the 21.
Isaiah Johnson in coverage. And again, you see Morris going downfield. We knew they wanted to try to get some intermediate and short routes, but they've shown great productivity with the long ball here in Atlanta.
And again, that huddle up, perhaps surprising Georgia Tech. Walford to the far side. Mike James, who wins all the strength conditioning awards for Miami, number 5, the senior, back with his quarterback. Some confusion it appeared there. Now the hitch to the outside, incomplete. Saw the lineman turning around, looking at their quarterback, and Jonathan Feliciano before the ball was snapped, and that skipped up. That's one play after this. Again,
watch the play of the offensive line, giving Morris plenty of protection, and then a long, deep crossing route brought in easily, much too easily for Dorsett.
That subsequent incomplete pass, only the second by Morris in this initial quarter. 4.5 to go. He is 6 of 8 for 124 yards. Walford comes to the near side. Morris looks this way. He's going for the end zone, and Walford, he throws, and Walford unable to make the diving grab. As Jamea Thomas, one of the best corners in the Atlantic Coast Conference, was in coverage.
Nice job by Morris on a pump fake. Going to get that safety to kind of respect that post route. And then brought it back down and went over the top just a little bit out of the outstretched hands.
That junior there, the 2-year letterman in Thomas, is about as good as they come. Miami has converted once on third down. Facing 3rd and 10, they must penetrate the 11-yard line. Hearns shifts. A tandem this way, flag down. In and out of the hands of Dorsett.
This is going to be a motion penalty that I think Tech might decline. Force Miami into a field goal attempt. Let's see.
Illegal motion. Number 1. That penalty's declined. 4th down.
And the field goal unit will come on. The decline does Georgia Tech what would have been the 3rd flag against Golden's club. On is Jake Wyclaw, the senior who's made all 5 field goals this year. His long was a 32 at Kansas State. This would be 37, and he hammers it. And it is good. A touchdown, a field goal. And Miami's lead swells to double digits. These two teams are the 16 stack in the Coastal Division. And of course, on opening day in Blacksburg, Georgia Tech with the honor of playing on Labor Day night. Logan Thomas finds Dimitri Knowles in the 4th quarter. Tech goes in front. Then Deion Hill, his first career touchdown catch. The Hokies, Cody Journell. Field goal to tie it late in the final minute. And then to win it for Frank Beamer and company, 20-17. That was a costly loss for Tech, which led with seconds remaining.
And you just simply don't have a good shot at getting to Charlotte if you've got 2 losses in your conference schedule. And Georgia Tech facing that possibility here this afternoon.
Jake Wyclaw has already been busy. Ready to kick to Oren Smith. 1 return today, along with Jamal Golden. This is Oren Smith. And he starts out, puts his hand on the ground outside the goal line.
That's not good.
And some confusion as to what he did. Did he come over and break the plane? And that is a safety. It goes from bad to worse for Georgia Tech, and elation on the Miami sideline. How about that? Now, Paul Johnson wants an explanation.
See right here, both feet are back.
He's outside. He breaks the plane coming out.
And it's not his hand, Paul. It's where the ball is. He can put his hand in the territory.
The ruling on the field is a safety. This play is under further review.
They will take it up top, but that will look today.
That is unimportant. That's unimportant.
Right.
Where the ball is in relation to breaking the plane is what's significant.
So our first review of the afternoon. They will take it upstairs. And from our vantage point and our cameras today, our producer Dave Behringer, our director Gary Clem, and our staff here, it appeared he leaned out with the football over the goal line into the field of play.
And I think what you'll find is, remember, if you don't have indisputable video evidence, you've got to go with the call on the field. That's normally when they come out and they say that the call on the field stands call on the field stands means they did not have enough video evidence to overturn it. If they come out and say the call on the field is confirmed,
right,
then they did have enough video evidence.
So it's either stands or confirmed, or the play is reversed. So a 65-yard touchdown strike from Washington to Dorsett. The field goal, mistakes by Georgia Tech, and Paul Johnson's team, right of your screen, not nearly as sharp as they were a week ago in the blowout victory over the Virginia Cavaliers. Is there a bit of a hangover from that that's evident here?
Well, I don't know about that. How about let's just give credit to Miami. They've
Sure.
executed down the field, and a mental mistake on a kickoff is your other 2 points.
Again, the Miami team that opened the year on the road
After
with the win at
further
Boston
review,
College.
the ruling on the field stands.
There it is.
Safety.
That means
safety.
they didn't have enough video evidence, so they go with the ruling on the field. It is a safety.
And now Georgia Tech is down a dozen at home, and we're still in the first quarter.
And what also compounds and adds to this is Tech now has to give the ball right back
On a free kick. And the man that made the mistake in Orrin Smith is one of the most accomplished return men in Tech history. We told you he's amassed over 1,400 career yards returning kickoffs. So Tech trying to figure it out early. Miami elated by its start. And on to kick will be Sean Poole, the punter. And there is a man we haven't seen as much of as we thought we might in the Duke. Duke Johnson.
Hasn't been needed yet.
No, not yet. Still a lot of football to be played. And from his 20, we still have that rule in place, and he did not hit this well. And here will come James off his 42-yard line. Back to the center of the field, to midfield. And he's in Tech territory. Time now for the GMC Video Vault. Last year in Miami, the Canes scored 3 out of the first 4 times. They were in the red zone and held the Yellow Jackets spread option offense scoreless in the second half. And Miami pounded away on Georgia Tech 24-7. And that is our GMC Video Vault. It's either Randy Shannon or his successor in that man, Al Golden. Miami has won 3 of the last 4 meetings by a combined score of 92-34. And they lead 12-0 here with 4 minutes to play.
Now, if you're Miami, Paul, do you keep your foot on the gas?
Had he hit that slant route, you may have to Dorsett. Did you see that? There appeared to be no support at the center of the field on the throw to Dorsett. It'll be second down. Duke Johnson is in the backfield. Al Golden trying to get his defense going. Morris has misfired on his last 3 passes as he looks to the sideline and gets the play call.
Plenty of time on the play clock. 6, 5.
Tyron Dye, the tight end, out in the pattern. Morris flushed. 45, 42-yard line on second down. But 4 yards shy. Sean Green, defensive tackle, sophomore, makes the tackle.
And again, a good job by the offensive line. Morris really takes off with not anybody very close to him. Maurice Hagan's back there blocking for him. The fullback. This will bring up 3rd and intermediate.
Now Miami is running packages, KJ, into the game. Situational packages on 3rd down. Miami is staying with its pretty much base unit in this 3-4. Or pardon me, Georgia Tech is. Eduardo Clements in the backfield. Pass protection. And it's a first down grab. The diving catch, clutch by Dorsett.
And a good decision by Morris. Got back in his drop, took off, but kept his eyes upfield. Found an open receiver, converted first down.
And he wants the ball right away. He's clapping for the football. Miami is already set following the gain of 8. We wind under 3 minutes remaining on this Sunday afternoon in our first quarter. First carry for Eduardo Clements and a trio of running backs, all with talent. A junior from Miami and Eduardo. scored the very first game touchdown of this season at Boston College. What a comeback that was for Miami down early.
They gave up a bunch of yard to the Boston College offense through the air, but they won on the scoreboard, did the Hurricanes.
There was a burst in there in which Miami outscored the Eagles 41-9. The Duke started left, cuts right. His change of direction, he is so shifty, makes it difficult to tackle him.
The two things that when you talk to the coaches at Miami about Johnson, one is that lateral quickness, that lateral movement. Secondly, they talk about his vision at the next level, the second level. So while he's making a move to get in or out of a hole, he's already got his vision upfield as to what the next move is going to be.
And he can play so many positions. He's now a top-year picture, is Duke Johnson. Again, 4 touchdowns last week, 3 different ways, and he makes the catch, and it's a first down grab to the 21-yard line. As Steve Burns was telling you at the outset today, he rushed for a touchdown, caught a pass for a touchdown, and what was that, a 95-yard kickoff return for a score? That was his first game for Miami at home.
638 all-purpose yards through 3 games. That's a bunch.
For a 5th-year senior. That's a bunch. Miami is driving the football now after taking over on the free kick. Oh, that somehow got through the outstretched arms of Jeremiah Tochi. Went right through his hands. Those big mitts for Jerry Tochi, the linebacker.
Tochi goes 6'3". Tall, lanky, 240 pounds. Is a Lombardi. Lombardi watch list.
What a huge turnover, wouldn't it have been? At the 26, or rather 16-yard line. Another hot throw inside the 5. This time Malcolm Lewis, his first grab of the day for the freshman. Miami in the red zone as presented by CPI Security. And this year, what they've been able to do.
And that looks good in that they've scored 10 of 11 times, or 11 of 12 times, including today, Paul. But the problem is only half of them are touchdowns.
Right.
Far too many field goals once the Hurricanes get into the red zone. We've got a Miami player down. And it might be Lewis.
And that appears to be the head coach in Al Golden, who is out to attend to him.
Gets that ankle rolled up underneath him right there.
And he is in serious pain. And in fact, Al Golden, the head coach, you can see with his arms wrapped around him to provide comfort.
Yep, they're going to bring out the inflatable cast. That's not a good sign.
Medical trainers too from Georgia Tech came sprinting from their sideline on to attend to him and apply medical assistance.
And part of what they're doing there, Paul, if I may tell you, is they're shielding, because they're working, the orthopedists are working. This is something like maybe a dislocated ankle or a compound fracture that literally has to be reset right now.
And the severity is such that the University of Miami players, his teammates, gathering in prayer to support him. But it appears to be quite severe and somewhat puts a damper on Miami's wonderful start here this afternoon. As you can see, they are driving deep on Georgia Tech. We have mere seconds remaining in our opening quarter. But all eyes concerned as Al Golden departs on Malcolm Lewis. So as a player, KJ, obviously disturbed by what you see, how do you now try to bring it back?
You spend a quick moment thinking about it. You spend a quick moment in prayer, but then you've got to forget about it because you've still got a ball game to play. That's part of the mental aspect of this game called tackle football. People do get hurt, and while you are allowed to feel bad for a moment, you've got to be able to refocus, get back into the ball game once you go back live. We'll be back live right after this.
Ovation for injured Hurricane wide receiver Malcolm Lewis. Being assisted from the field.
See him pumping up that air cast right there.
Off to a nearby hospital. James, close to the goal line. Mike James, the leader of this offense in his 42nd career game. He is one of the class young men. Atlantic Coast Conference involved in his community from Haines City. Trying to punch it in. Get 6 more on the board.
Tech, everything's falling apart for Tech. They have too many people on the field.
That would be for Georgia Tech its 2nd infraction. Its opening quarter 1 was declined by Miami. Al Golden facing off Al Groh.
I think you take the penalty. That way you can replay the down.
It cannot end, of course, a period on a defensive penalty.
Illegal substitution. Defense. Penalty half the distance. 1 on time down.
So we will play this on time down. About the length of the football away from the goal line. And from what could be a 19-0 first quarter advantage for Miami that leaves us shaking our heads, even if the Canes have won 3 in a row against Georgia Tech. The fullback is Higgins. The tailback James. And he is in. Touchdown Miami, a 2nd time in this quarter to go with a safety and to accompany a field goal.
Nothing fancy. They pulled one of those big old linemen around. I think it was at the center, McDermott. Might have been the right guard, Lindner. And James just gets on his hip, heads right in.
His 14th career rushing touchdown. Wyclaw. Perfect on the extra point. And we end the first quarter 19-0. Miami. A dominating performance. Pure golden for Al and the Canes here to open renewal of this summary. And a look at this in a dominating first quarter performance. 19-0. Our scores, we head to the 2nd. Advantage Miami.
Advantage on the scoreboard, advantage statistically, advantage emotionally. I don't think you could have drawn up a better first 15 minutes for Al Golden and his Hurricanes.
By the way, that rushing touchdown by Mike James was the first Tech has surrendered. First rushing touchdown. And now 3+ weeks as Wyclaw gets set to boot it away to the tandem of Smith and Golden. It was Oren Smith. Came out of the end zone, broke the plane, went back in. Committed to safety. He'll start inside his 5. And he won't reach the 10-yard line. Dropped immediately on the tackle by Eduardo Clemens. They're flying on special teams. Let's check in with Steve.
And you know what? The message to the defensive team for Miami was stay aggressive. Let's look for opportunities. Let's create some more turnovers. They know they have momentum.
Robert got high. Oren Smith, as you see, Mark D'Onofrio, the defensive coordinator. And the pitch to Oren Smith. D'Onofrio, like Al Golden, played lettered. D'Onofrio, a captain for Joe Paterno at Penn State. There is a toughness about the 2nd-year coaching staff in Miami.
And when we talked with them about toughness, in fact, both coaching staffs, they defined it based on 3 or 4 different concepts. They talked about toughness related to nicks and bruises and bumps, toughness mentally, toughness in doing your job.
They faked Gillespie. Washington got high, just dropped, surrounded, taken down by Casey Rogers. Can I take you back to a couple of weeks ago, KJ, when Kansas State humiliated Miami in Manhattan 52-13? K-State had 6 rushing touchdowns against this defense, running a similar offense. What's the change 2 weeks later? What has Miami learned and improved upon?
Well, as I mentioned in the keys to the game, they're playing on the edge and they're doing a good job in gap responsibility.
In that game, Colin Klein for K-State, the Wildcats, 3 rushing touchdowns alone. Need a yard here. Flag down. Flag behind the play, and the pitch to Oren Smith. Able to find the edge and the sideline. to midfield. He cuts back to the heart of the field. He's at the 20 as Smith, trying to atone for that safety. Dropped down inside the 5 by Brandon McGee, who had to run 80 yards to take him down. But we remind you, there is a flag along the line of scrimmage.
And this was thrown right as the ball was snapped. Thrown on the offense's left sideline, near sideline here. 2 fouls, I heard him say.
And I see on both sides of the field.
Offsides. Defense, number 93. Holding. Offense. Those penalties all set. Replay, third down.
We did not get a number on the holding call. The offside was 93 Miami. Luther Robinson, the defensive tackle.
There's a cut block right there. Another cut block. I think it was on the outside right there. Flag was late coming in.
Saying the corner, Thomas Finney, was held on the play. That's a 79-yard gain that's erased. 79 yards. And we'll do it again, third and very short. It's been one of those days so far for Georgia Tech. How different than just 7 days ago against the Cavaliers Speed. From the option, Washington stretches for a first down. But there were 3 white helmets flying in his direction. Thurton Ambrister, a linebacker, tripped him up.
If I'm Georgia Tech right now on this play, I run that option look and I step back and I throw the ball down the field. Miami is flying to the ball. I try to use that against them, particularly down here on the near side.
Play action. Washington unloads deep. Incomplete. Down at the 40-yard line with the flag in late, intended for Jeff Green.
Could have gone either way with it, could Washington, but that's exactly what I'd have dialed up. Just a little bit out of the outreached hands. Finney again, the corner on that side, going up against Jeff Green. Darren Waller was down here near side, both on a fly pattern.
And both Al Golden and his coordinator, D'Onofrio, barking in protest of the call. Well, was the pass catchable?
Well, the problem with that is if you've got defensive holding, it doesn't matter. Defensive pass interference, it would matter.
By the way, that was for Washington his first attempted pass of this first down. And Jeff Heiser, talking to umpire Danny Worrell, wants to be certain.
Unsportsmanlike conduct against Miami, running into the coach. 15 yards, first down.
Running into the coach. Unsportsmanlike conduct. He can't be clear on that. That cannot be correct. Running into the coach? Me? He is saying that he was on the field of play and the official ran into him, so it's Al Golden's fault? That's the call.
Well, we saw that call in the Florida State game last week.
That's the get-back rule. You're too close to the sideline. In that situation, that's called. First down here. A second pass play. And this one right on the number. Inside the 10-yard line for Tony Seven. First and goal, Georgia Tech.
This is the wheel route. They run the slant in and then run the back around the outside. That's the matchup Georgia Tech loves. You'll see them run that 2 or 3 times every ball game. And when you've got an overly aggressive defense, it typically works.
It's a gain of 57 for Zen and just his second catch of this season. Washington stood up, driven back. He may have lost a yard on first down, just stuffed by the Atlanta native from North Atlanta High School, Eddie Johnson.
This again is the counter. Look how deep that Washington gets. Then he tries to move back upfield. Just too many white helmets.
An all-state selection here in Georgia. He runs a 4.7. Pacalo. It's second down. And, you know, Georgia Tech, for all their rushing success, when they hit a pass play, they lead the ACC in passing efficiency. It's Georgia Tech. You wouldn't think that. Off the counter, Washington to Smith. A race for the pylon, and he's in for a touchdown. Georgia Tech finally is on the board. The talents of Orrin Smith. He finds the end zone, his second touchdown of the season.
Keep your eye on the left-hand side of the screen. You'll see a great block right there. A deep cleater, as it were. That opens it up for Smith to reach into the corner of the end zone.
David Scully, who unseated the incumbent Justin Moore to win the kicking chores and also earned a scholarship, the former walk-on. He's nailed all 18 of his extra points so far this season. He's able to tighten it up to a 19-7 game. The big pass to Tony Zinnin gets them going. Orrin Smith into the end zone. The Yellow Jackets finally give this crowd at Bobby Dodd Stadium, Grant Field, something to cheer about. Very much in vogue throughout the ACC. The Cadets, the long gray line, playing against Wake Forest today, and later this evening NC State hosting the Citadel from the football championship subdivision. The Citadel is 3-0 on the year, running the option, Keith. It's tough to prepare for it.
You just don't see it a whole lot. And you're right. Got to be focused.
Miami's done an excellent job of getting ready for it. And we'll start this out at the 25-yard line. Hey, next Saturday, an ACC doubleheader at noon. You will either enjoy Georgia Tech hosting Middle Tennessee or Virginia battling Louisiana Tech in Charlottesville. Then at 3:30, Idaho travels to Chapel Hill to face North Carolina. We'll be there. Tar Heel quarterback Brent Renner will look to try and ignite the Fed spread. He threw 5 touchdown passes last week against Louisville. The Vandals from Idaho in town. That's all next Saturday. Right here. Looking forward to that game. Second look at Larry Fedora's offense, which seems to be
getting better. Getting better.
I think that's fair. Miami, a sensational start, calmed down somewhat the injury to Malcolm Lewis. Put up 19-0 at one point. And the throw here to Dorsett, who's off and running. Dorsett loses the football. Georgia Tech has it. At the 40-yard line, Jabari Hunt caused the fumble. Stripped it up. Hunt dazed it, rather, and it belongs to Georgia Tech. Our first turnover.
Again, deep drop by Morris. Delivers on time, and out route. Ball security. Just had that ball too far away from his body. Brandon Watts, who is a very, very fast linebacker, comes in, and Hunt Days recovers it.
Brandon Watts, they say, is fast enough to run with receivers the speed of Dorsett. He shows it there, running him down from behind, forces the ball to pop free. Hunt Days with the first turnover. Momentum clearly now Georgia Tech's way. Will they try and strike quickly? Orrin Smith. Ball's out. The quarterback in Washington gives it right back to Miami. The hesitation.
No, that's an incomplete forward pass.
No, you're right. Miami says that's our football.
That's an incomplete forward pass.
A shuffle pass forward?
Correct.
He hesitated as if to pitch the ball to Orrin Smith.
It's an incomplete pass. Second down.
Look again.
As long as the quarterback is behind the line of scrimmage and that ball goes forward, it's considered a pass. Just like the old shuffle pass.
He was trying to get it to Zach Lasky. 37 maybe. Just throwing it at him.
Right there. Smith's not even looking for the ball.
No. In panic mode. Washington throws it off his backside. Technically an incomplete pass. A break for Tech. From the 43. Zinnin takes it on the near side, 45. A yard shy of midfield. He had that big completion a moment ago.
It's getting a little chippy down there, Paulie.
This rivalry is surprisingly spirited. I think we've discovered that in our preparation this week between Tech and Miami, and there's much at stake today, especially early in the year.
Well, especially these interdivisional games.
Paul Johnson was in Miami yesterday. Unfortunately, his defensive end Malcolm Monroe's mother passed away. He attended the memorial service in Miami, flew back to Atlanta last night. Washington. First down inside the 45-yard line. Ambrister, the linebacker, on Washington. So Tech holds on to the football on this.
And watch how quickly the hole opens. You'll see this guy, he's got the pitch, so he's got to run out of there. Leaves that open lane right there for Washington.
So Washington has carried 7 times today, but he's only gained 13 yards. A credit to the Cane defense. And D'Onofrio, the coordinator. He wants to throw. Clearly a pass this time. Appeared to be some contact at the 10-yard line intended for Anthony Autry. No flag coming.
It's a big target out there.
Buzz in this crowd, and they are attacking Thomas Finney, both running the ball his way, the corner for Miami, and throwing toward the sophomore.
Trying to get that ball to Darren Waller, who goes 6'5". There you see Finney, the corner for Miami. He stands 5'10".
It's Waller on Finney once again. 7 different Yellow Jackets have carried the ball so far. And the pitch to Godhigh. Godhigh still on his feet, stays in bounds. And pulled down by his face mask inside the 10-yard line. That's a personal foul. That'll tack on half the distance to the goal. It's first and goal, Georgia Tech.
Deion Bush, the safety, I believe, got his hand up in the cage. And remember, because it's a foul, even though helmet came off, he can stay in the ball game if he chooses to.
Georgia Tech is saying there may be a penalty the way they're pointing back in their direction. There's a lot of discussion about exactly what is taking place here. Jeff Eason.
Personal foul. Face mask. Against. After distance to go. First down.
Clearly. On Godhigh, yanked down, and a nice move along the sideline to stay in bounds.
How he kept his balance right there, I don't know, but he did. Works back inside, then you see the face mask right there. Helmet comes off, flag comes in.
He stands all of 5'7", weighs 180 pounds. Robert Godhigh, the junior. First and goal. Running back David Sims for the first time. Behind his quarterback, checking at the line of scrimmage. And Sims runs into his quarterback.
And we've got another flag.
And the referee getting between the defensive back, Deion Bush, the freshman over there in the Yellow Jacket.
Offsides. Defense. Number 93. Half the distance. Still first down.
That's the second offside call on the junior Luther Robinson, number 93. Second of this first half. We have 9:21 as you see remaining in our first half. Miami's right back in this with the score if they aren't already. Or rather, Georgia Tech is. Here comes Washington. Touchdown, Georgia Tech.
And remember, all of this was the result of Miami springing a big pass play that Dorsett laid on the field, laid on the ground via the fumble. Another look. This is kind of like a quarterback isolation play or a quarterback lead play. Washington just gets right in behind the fullback and scores.
And that big run with the personal foul call too, following the Robert Godhigh carry. David Scully to make this a 19-14 affair. And that's where we stand. 9:05 to go in our first half. Georgia Tech able to take advantage of that Dorsett turnover. Drive down the field and punch it in for a touchdown. Southwest Asia, South Korea, Japan, and more. From all of us here, this ACC College Football Saturday, a salute to you. It's great to have you with us on a gorgeous afternoon this first day of fall here in Grandfield in Atlanta, and a good game.
Come home safe.
Tech's got it going, 14 unanswered after trailing 19-zip. Dorsett and Johnson await the kickoff by Scully. for the Canes. Can they recapture some of the mow that they had at the outset?
Plenty of time left. Plenty of time left.
That turnover by Dorsett led to the second touchdown. Scully pops this short. We should have a return, and it's Duke Johnson, the freshman. He fights his way out to the 26-yard line. It's a return of 15, and here is Steve Burns.
And Paul, head coach Paul Johnson rallied his offense after that last score. He wants his wide receivers to sustain their downfield blocks longer. He told his offense, we need another score before the half to get back in this.
And take the lead would be the case if they were able to get 7 on the board.
Well, first things first, this Georgia Tech defense needs to slow down this Miami offense.
And Tech has had defensive issues today with Stephen Morris and this Miami attack. They have dominated statistically. The tight end Clive Walford, number 46, trying to communicate with his quarterback. They'll run his way, and Duke slithers out to the 35-yard line. Aishan Cross, the defensive tackle, on the stop of the ACC Rookie of the Week.
See a good look at Johnson there. 5'9", 188, very compact and powerful pounds that can also run like the wind.
The center for Miami, number 62, Shane McDermott, working out of the gun. Miami over 200 yards of total offense so far. Very patient was Duke Johnson, now being bent back as he nears the first down marker by Atochu. See where that mark is, and yes, they're moving the stakes forward, and Johnson earns the first down. The coaches said to him this week after that spectacular game against Bethune in just the third of his career, don't let that be
the best game of your career.
Yeah, your third outing as a freshman if you're Duke Johnson. That'll be the challenge for him. Already 6 touchdowns in 3 weeks of play. Out of Miami, Norland High School. They won the state championship, did Norland, a year ago. A perfect 15-0. Again, wrapped up and a drop. Tripped up by Brandon Watts.
And again, you see the athleticism of Watts. 6'2", 238 pounds, number 11 right there on your screen. Very, very good foot speed. In this case, very, very good lateral movement. Wraps up around the shoe tops and brings down Johnson.
That's the 4th tackle of the first half for Watson. He's also forced a fumble. 4 coming out of the backfield. Johnson, and he cannot get away. Good sure tackle on the edge by Jamia Thomas, that fine corner where Johnson would have galloped a while. That's tough to do, isn't it? In space, in the flat. Johnson is off, and it's a possession snap for Miami. You can see the Yellow Jackets are pitching shutouts in the middle of the game so far in the first 3 weeks. Nothing in the second or third quarter registered against them. As they break the huddle, Eduardo Clemens is the running back. Alan Hearns to the top of your screen. Blitz coming. Miami throws the slant to Walford. He drops the ball. Defended by Ron Sweeting.
Well, Sweeting is the old man back there. Be on your right-hand side slant route. And good closure there by number 6, Sweeting. Miami will be forced to punt.
Jamal Golden will be in single safety for this punt by Dalton Bolts, or Botts rather. The center is Paul Kelly, a new assignment for him. Very high. Golden makes the catch, no fair catch call. Here he comes, green grass. Rambling into Miami territory, back to the 30. Potts, the punter, was forced to make the tackle.
I thought he was in between, just fixing to raise that hand for a fair catch. He chose to keep it down and turns it into a spectacular punt return.
57 yards, another big play, and this turnaround for Georgia Tech, which has awakened. Washington pitches to the near side, and Zinn is flattened on the play. Just hammered down. It'll be second down.
Great job coming up for Ladarius Gunter, redshirt sophomore out of Montgomery, Alabama, seeing some playing time. And Gunter is all over that.
You can't measure heart all the time with a ruler. And you've got a guy like Zenon, who's 5'8". You've got Godhigh, that's 5'7". A lot of ability, undersized. They play very hard. Washington throws and threw too high for Godhigh, who again is 5'7", but wide open in the flat.
Just so much misdirection in that counter.
Because that freezes the linebacker, so he's out there by himself.
Well, most of the time you're in zone coverage against this because you can't afford to be in man and have corners turning their backs to the ball. So it's just a question of Washington finding the open guy. That time he was open, just didn't deliver accurately.
The only receiver he has found so far is Zenon on that 57-yard catch and run. And set up the first touchdown. Here it's third, and we'll call it 11. Sims was with him in the backfield. Washington looking downfield. He throws. The catch is made at the 10-yard line. Zenon inside the 10. First and goal, Georgia Tech. Casey Rogers had to come and track him down. A gain of 15.
Good job by Washington to show some patience. Operating out of the pistol formation. Works to his right. Combination routes up there. Works to his right. Keeps his head downfield. Throws back to the middle of the field. Casey Rogers has to make the touchdown saving tackle.
Waller and Green, the two wide receivers. And the first carry for David Sims. He was injured at Virginia Tech. It started that game. Major part of the offense. He is back today. The junior from Matthews, South Carolina.
And that's Will Jackson, Tech's right tackle, who is the current ACC Offensive Lineman of the Week.
And the junior from Knoxville, Tennessee, being attended to.
This is his 26th start. Watch number 52 right there in the center. Gets rolled up and then pushed backwards.
And fortunately able to get back to his feet, and he will do his best to walk this off. On that right side of the line, you have Omorge Uzi there, Keith, number 77.
An Outland watch list right guard. In the center, you got Jay Finch, who's on the Remington watch list at center.
It's an experienced offensive line. 7 letters in all among 5 players. Some experience, 4 starters back from a year ago. And they'll line it up on second and goal right at that 5-yard line. Washington with that late pitch to Orion Smith, and he is wrapped up at the 10-yard line. Bulldog down by Brandon McGee, the corner.
And these wide receivers for Tech right now just not doing the job on sealing on the outside against these corners. That time McGee just completely defeats whoever's in front of him. Wide receivers have got to match up. See right there, it looked like 88 Darren Waller's man and McGee. You got to match up and hold your ground with them right at the line of scrimmage. You cannot allow them to push you back or to get around you if you're a wide receiver blocking in this spread option.
This will be a big stop for Miami here to force Georgia Tech into a field goal. Third and goal from the 10. Godhigh. Play action to him. Washington wants to run for the end zone. He's in. A quarterback of the Yellow Jackets scores his second of period number 2. And Tech has rallied from being down 19-0 to lead here late in the first half.
And again, this is a quarterback lead. Great block right there. Allows Washington to cut back to his right, defense's left, goes into the end zone untouched.
3 unanswered touchdowns by the Yellow Jackets. That was on 3rd down. That really stings. And a Tech, as you see, will go for 2. David Sims behind his quarterback. Out goes Waller. Washington on the roll. Guns high, got high. Did he break the plane? No, he did not. Did not. Made a nice catch, but did not cross the plane of the end zone, and Miami has held. As it stands, Paul Johnson and Georgia Tech have rallied and lead here with 3:39 to go. This ACC Coastal Division Showdown and Atlanta chicken tender boxes by Ram Trucks and by Z-Max. So much history here in the Deep South. Stone Mountain National Park, first celebrating the history of the Civil War here. People out. Quite a battle between Miami and Georgia Tech, and this call has been reversed moments ago. Got high, it's ruled. Upon further review, did break the plane to the goal line. That's a 2-point conversion.
What a remarkable turn of events. 19 unanswered by Miami, and now 22 unanswered by Georgia Tech.
And the video review team was using our cameras here, and that's the best look we had to make that call. So upon that video, it was conclusive to the point, irrefutable, that the officials here believed it was a 2-point conversion. So you're right. 19 first scored against Paul Johnson, and he responds with some character, does his forefront to lead as we near halftime. Scully. The Duke of Coral Gables. As if shot out of a cannon. To the 49, he puts on the brakes. It glides along, Keith, and then the burst. 47 yards.
Lateral quickness, a good burst, some high-end speed. He's the package. Tackled by David Scully, the kicker. But immediately, with 3:29 left on the clock, Miami starts just about at midfield.
Exceptional field position. Mike James, who has scored a touchdown today. Maurice Higgins is the fullback leading the way for James, who pounds it here.
Tech defense, Paul, gives up just 113 yards a game on the ground. Miami, conversely, 4th in the ACC at about 160, 155 on offense.
Morris, as he gets the play, by the way, is flirting with what would be a 4 straight 200-yard passing week. He's at 187. We have 3 minutes to go in the second quarter. He's going upstairs. A lot of time to throw, and when you get time like this, that's picked off. You should be able to do something other than find the corner for Georgia Tech and Thomas. He threw it over there. It's picked off inside the 20. It's a second turnover for Miami.
That's just a bad decision by Morris. They had the receiver bracketed high and low, over and top and underneath.
And Georgia Tech's right back on the field.
That's Austin McKellen. Is that who that was?
Jermaine Thomas with the pick.
Jermaine Thomas.
Again, that is
14, not 44.
That's his first of the season, by the way, KJ. 4th of his career.
Yep. He had 2 in that big win that Georgia Tech had over Clemson last year.
2 in one day.
Yep.
Tremendous day for him. 2:50 to go. How does Tech play this out? Washington attacks the middle, and there is running room. To the 23. Tech, by the way, all 3 timeouts remaining. As we wind down. Coming up at the half, Andre Aldrich. On a busy day of intersectional play involving Atlantic Coast Conference teams. You already heard about Wake Forest and its victory over West Point. Maryland and West Virginia today. Mike London's Cavaliers trying to bounce back, finding it tough on the road. Fort Worth, Texas against nationally ranked TCU. Bowling Green at Virginia Tech. A busy day. Williams in it. Trying to get away. Out to the 25-yard line. Tyrone Cornelius from Stone Mountain, Georgia. Just showed you that fine carving in the National Park. Wrapped him up. The clock winds under 2 minutes. Now third down. 3rd and 1. Waller to the far side. Tech has converted all 4 of its third down situations in this quarter. They are 4 for 4. Got high. Started off the wing. He gets knocked down. Washington has no one to pitch it to. He earns the first, though, as he gets out of bounds upfield at the 32.
That'll stop the clock until they get the chain set and the ball set.
Interesting the way Miami played that, though, KJ. They just flattened Washington's options. They're hitting everybody. And it's been very intense. The first 2 quarters today at Bobby Dodd Stadium. The old coach would like the feel of this game. It has been intense. 3 receivers to the near side on first down. Washington looks this way, running out of time, throws, nearly picked off at the 41-yard line. It hit the carpet. It's incomplete. Jimmy Gaines
again. We remind you, got the start here at middle linebacker for the injured Denzel Perryman. Tough throw for a quarterback, trying to throw against his body back over the middle. Right there, pumpkin on the ground.
Jimmy Gaines starting today, as he did in the victory over Georgia Tech a year ago. But Denzel Perryman is out with a right ankle sprain. They lost Raymond Blackman to a knee injury against K-State. Raphael Kirby in fall camp. So they're down the depth chart as Lasky hits it off the right side. And it's Gaines on the tackle again with 1:15 and counting.
And again, Tech not taking timeouts.
Well, they still have 3. A minute to go. And a field goal kicker in Scully. They'll burn one here, but they left some seconds on the table.
Georgia Tech, first charge.
Precious time on the table. Can they get Scully in field goal range? As you see, by a field goal and facing 3rd down and 4. Tevin Washington has completed only 2 passes. Boy, has this been a different second quarter than the first. Washington looks to be shy of the first down. Eddie Johnson, the linebacker, along with A.J. Highsmith up from the secondary. Former quarterback and Highsmith starting today at safety, and it's 4th down. And the offense stays out there.
Tech will have to run a play. They cannot just let the clock expire.
Needing a yard. Yard high. The shift to the backfield. Warren Smith, he shifts as well.
And now they'll call timeout.
Will they? Counting down that play clock. And now the timeout taken with 14 seconds to go. So here's what's happened so far. A tremendous start for Miami. Wide receiver in Dorsett on the receiving end of the 65-yard strike put the Canes up early.
Morris goes deep, and Miami comes out firing early. A mental mistake right here by Smith.
To further review, the ruling on the field stands.
2 more points for the Canes. They would come down, and this is the first rushing touchdown given up by this Georgia Tech defense. But then Smith for Georgia Tech answers again, and Miami right here. Critical play. Dorsett was running in Georgia Tech territory. Tech takes over the ball. They march it right down. Washington scores. They go for 2. We've had punt returns. We've had kickoff returns. We've had quarterback leads. Just about anything you could imagine. That was Tech's last touchdown. Again, they went for 2.
And that ground game in the second quarter for Georgia Tech. They got going. Georgia Tech, which had 39 yards total offense quarter number 1, 176 in quarter number 2. And Tevin Washington with 2 touchdowns. Dorsett. And we would like to welcome those of you who are watching the Brewers, the Nationals game. And being from D.C., I congratulate the Nats. Headed to postseason play for the first time in that city since the 1930s.
You really want to debate Strasburg with me?
No, I'm all with Davey Johnson and the Washington Nationals organization. But happy for the city, the community. The Nats are going to postseason play. Just wish Walter Johnson could be there to maybe take Strasburg's place in the rotation, or Frank Howard smacking home runs. Georgia Tech will take a timeout here with 5 seconds to go after electing not to, Paul Johnson, to allow the clock to run a couple of minutes ago. And a look at the Coors Light freeze cam. And KJ, how about the fumble that seemingly turned this game around in the second quarter?
Well, Miami, the huge play all the way down in Georgia Tech territory. Nice strip there by Watts. Tech recovers. There's your freeze. And that's your Coors Light freeze can.
One that Dorsett, of course, would like to have back. One of 2 turnovers for Miami. So we're going to head to the halftime locker room, and nothing really has been decided. Miami on quarter number 1. The Yellow Jackets quarter number 2. And the Canes going for a 4th consecutive victory in as many seasons. Golden and company hoping to pull it out today against the Yellow Jackets in a matchup of 2 teams out of the coastal half of the Atlantic Coast Conference. Let's check in with Steve and Coach Al Golden.
Well, Coach, big momentum swing in this game. What are your priorities at halftime?
Well, it's a 3-point game. You're on the road in the ACC. Just forget about, the first quarter versus second quarter. Where are we right now? Take a deep breath. 3-point game on the road. Let's go after it.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. On the road and within 1 possession. We are at the half. The 120th season of Tech football in this.
With an interception and a fumble. 19-point unanswered, then 22 by Georgia Tech.
And Georgia Tech will have its offense all pumped up, ready to go out on the field. Oren Smith ready to return. Opening kickoff for the second half to be offered by Jake Whiteclaw. Paul Kennedy, Keith Jones, Steve Burns on the sideline. Great to have you with us around the world today for ACC football. And that will be brought out of the 35-yard line. That is not the way Miami wants to start quarter number 3. Stephen Morris, KJ, in your take on the first 2 quarters, he completed 12 of 18, did have the pick.
He did those things that he needed to do in order to keep this Miami team in the ball game. He's made some excellent throws down the field, has Morris. Conversely, on the overside, Telvin Washington is 2 of 6 throwing the ball, but he has run this Georgia Tech offense quite nicely, particularly in the second quarter.
Scored 2 touchdowns, including the one on 3rd down, 3rd and goal from the 10. And Lasky is able to gash Miami on 1st down, the sophomore from Peachtree City for 8. The former Georgia Player of the Year in Lasky. There are 8 separate Yellow Jackets carrying the football for this spread option attack for Paul Johnson. 8 in the first 2 quarters of play.
There's 9 different players on this Yellow Jacket offense that have already had plays of 20 yards or more this year.
And Sinjin Days, who has been a quarterback heretofore, has also checked in. There goes Lasky, and he breaks through into the secondary down to the Miami 34-yard line. Deion Bush, a freshman, up to make the tackle.
We saw Georgia Tech exploit Miami a little bit on the outside. Here's an opportunity for Tech to run the ball between the tackles. Straight ahead blocking. Lasky just gets right on the hip of big number 77 Uzi, and that's just good, tough, hard-nosed running. Georgia Tech in Miami territory.
Lasky with Got High and Smith now on the wings. And this is Washington, driven down by Anthony Chickalo, a sophomore from Tampa.
Maybe the first time we've seen what we would call a bad decision by Washington. That's one he should have pitched a little sooner.
Chicolo with 40 major college football scholarship offers. The 262-pound defensive end in this 4-3 scheme. A loss of about the length of a football. On the tackle by Chicolo. Second down, Washington. Now the late pitch. Zennin down the sideline for the end zone. Touchdown Tech.
Evidently, they saw what I saw.
Love to have heard what Paul Johnson had to say, because they have come out and they are exploding off the line of scrimmage.
Great job by Washington to keep that defensive end grounded right there. Outside linebacker, actually, Eddie Johnson. And then just a little flick to the outside to Zennin.
Tony Zennin with his very first touchdown of his sophomore campaign. That is 28 unanswered by the Yellow Jackets. They have fired up the engine on that Ramblin' Wreck. On is David Scully. And it's 29-19. What a pendulum swing. 3 plays. Count them. 65 yards and a 35-yard touchdown gallop by Tony Zennin. There's a high for Paul Johnson in that spread option. Set and Johnson. This will be Johnson. Here comes the freshman to the center of the field, and he is tripped up. Nice special teams tackle to sprint out there at the 17-yard line. Nick Minicol, the reserve linebacker.
Let's go back and look at the triple option. There's the first thing. You got to take away the fullback, so you got to commit to it. Then you got to get somebody on the quarterback. Watch this outside linebacker. He's got to get to Washington. And that leaves Zennin with a good block downfield. Nothing but green grass. That's why the triple option, part of that spread option, is so dangerous.
And again, so many weapons with so much talent. Higgins and James in the eye. This is James. And not much against the interior of Al Groh's 3-4. So Stephen Moore is trying to rediscover the sparkle that was evident at the outset for the Canes when they arrived here at Grant Field. What will it take to get it going, to get the passing game back in shape?
I go back to what they did in the first quarter. I'd run those same plays almost identically.
On the slant route, diving for the football, it's Alan Hearns, and it's ruled incomplete. Not a good throw by the quarterback.
He started out well. That's a 9-step drop on this touchdown pass to Dorsett. And again, throwing the ball well down the field. When he's had to run, he's kept his eyes up and continued to work the ball. That was a mistake throwing into double coverage, one of the few that Morris has made so far in this ball game.
Now the crowd against him in Miami. The Kings truly need a first down on third down. Morris steps up, throws. Dorsett fights for that first down. Didn't have it when he made the catch at the 28. Earns it, battling through Brandon Watts, the defensive end linebacker who was covering it.
And again, last year, this is a play that Morris would pull the ball down and run. This time he moves up in the pocket, delivers the ball first down.
And a quick snap, and Johnson finds a crease. 3 yards shy of midfield. They get right back to the line of scrimmage and are right back at it.
You asked me what Miami needed to do?
Yeah.
Just watch.
You're nodding your head as if I told you so. Miami's ready to go again. Johnson, not this time, he'll lose 2. The sticks on the far side aren't even set when Hunt Days drops it.
Don't forget Alan Hearns, #1 in this Miami offense. He'll be way down there at the bottom of your screen.
He's caught only 2 passes today for all of 10 yards. See him at the bottom of your picture. And he can't fly. They've missed him a couple of times.
But with Lewis out of the ball game, he becomes another threat.
He's got single coverage over there. Flush. Morris directing traffic running out of real estate, and he throws too high for the outstretched arms of Rashawn Scott. Pressure was coming from Jeremiah Tochu, linebacker.
Nice job up there by the Tochu to get to Morris. Morris pirouettes out, delivers the ball, but incomplete. Third down again.
Morris has connected only twice in his last 6 throws from his own 45 on third down and needing a dozen. Blitz coming. He bought some time. Not enough on the completion to the 48-yard line. Scott is belted out of bounds into the Miami bench. And it will be fourth down.
One of the few times we've seen Georgia Tech in man coverage. Good job.
Check in with Steve.
Hey, something to keep an eye on. We just got word that Miami's punter, Dalton Botts, has a sprained ankle. Jake Whiteclaw, the kicker, will now handle the punting duties.
Thank you so much. Actually looks to be Matt Gudis punting here. On the return, Jamal Golden. Golden on his feet, 40-yard line. Special teams here providing some punch as well, and field position. And Brister on the special teams tackle. Georgia Tech back in business offensively with that spread option. When we return, Bobby Dodd Stadium in Atlanta. Skyline of Atlanta. ACC College Football Saturday is presented by Coors Light. Over 50,000 on hand. Georgia Tech with 29 unanswered. Miami at home, quarter number 1. Tevin Washington at the helm, the senior from Wetumpka, Alabama. He's going up top. Couple of completions today, and there is his third. In stride, Jeff Green, and he is inside the 5-yard line.
If you want to know why Georgia Tech's passing efficiency is so good, there's a perfect example. You run, you run, you run, you get everybody thinking run, then you pull back.
That's a beautiful ball.
Yep.
58 yards.
T.C. Rogers, the safety in pursuit.
On the connection to Green. It's his first reception of the afternoon. First and goal, sends the setback for his quarterback. Oh, Walton, that's his third touchdown today for Tevin Washington. What an afternoon for Washington here at home.
That was just a little too easy, wasn't it?
That offensive line, give them credit. I'm blowing them off.
The Goons. The Goons.
You love an offensive line that has a collective nickname. You have to admire that. Scully. With the extra point. And for Miami, the Canes need to rally, or this is going to get out of hand here early in the third quarter. 36 straight against Al Golden in historic Grant Field. And let's find somewhere here at Bobby Dodd Stadium our own Steve Burns. Where are you, Steve?
Paul, I'm actually underneath the West Grandstand. 99 years ago, Georgia Tech students, after all, they are engineering students, most of them, used concrete to build bleachers big enough to seat 5,600. Now I'm in row 3, seat number 14. I can't see a thing now, but at one time, this was the best seat in the house.
Now look at the numbers stenciled against the old blocks.
There's the old brick that was used on the outside, as you mentioned, the numbers.
The nation's oldest stadium, 1913. Next year will be, of course, its centennial. 445 wins. Grant Field, Bobby Dodd Stadium. That's the most for any university
last week
in the nation.
Last week, 650th game played in this stadium.
They had all of Bobby's boys back. The anniversary of the 1952 national championship team. Pepper Rogers tossed the coin. So much nostalgia and pride in the tradition of this university. And every single player, Georgia Tech, must pass calculus. Whoa. Dave Johnson. tried to stay on his feet. Couldn't quite reach the 20. Big game here. How about this evening? Go Campbell Stadium. We saw Clemson a week ago. It's Taj Boyd, Sammy Watkins, Andre Ellington, and all those weapons for Dabo Swinney against Jimbo Fisher and E.J. Manuel.
You mentioned E.J. Manuel. Probably the bigger story for the Seminoles this year is their defense. Through 3 games, they've given up 3 points total.
Look at the top 25. Florida State. Number 4, Clemson, according to the Associated Press. Number 10, that is tonight nationally televised. A showcase for the ACC. Stutter step coming through off that left side for Mike James. You know, his career rushing average, Keith, for number 5 is close to 5 yards a tote, and this is over 4 years.
5.2 per carry in this, the 2012 campaign coming in. I don't want to tackle him.
He's so strong, so powerfully built. His 7th carry today, right at 31 yards. But his team is in a very big hole midway through the 3rd. Can Morris get him out of it? Going deep down the sideline. He's had 1 pick today, trying to dial the number of Rashawn Scott. Jamia Thomas was with him stride for stride.
Great coverage that time by Thomas. But you see the arm strength of Morris. He chunked it a while.
His offensive coordinator, Jed Fish, said that he can make every throw, just trying to get him with experience, his 21st game today, to be able to play like he practices. Be able to think a little quicker, make the effective plays. James there with that hesitation, waited a moment, some patience, found daylight and a first.
Now that's the stretch play that Miami likes to run. Johnson will check in for James.
With a fresh set of downs. You can see how they load 8 in the box, don't they, and try and disguise the safety.
They look like they're trying to bring pressure from here, too. Let's see.
Lock him up in Jamal Golden. He starts up. The throw goes to the far side and too hot for Philip Dorsett to handle into a Sun field. Is that the chess game that would cause Morris some problems when you do that?
It's not Morris, because Morris isn't making any of the calls. These are calls that are coming in from the sideline, having to be relayed from the booth.
He faces 2nd down. About 4. Behind the running of that center, Shane McDermott, the redshirt sophomore from Lake Worth. Aijin Cross, the defensive tackle, 3rd-year starter, number 94, with the most experience. Up front, senior on his tackle of the freshman, and it's 3rd down and 7. Miami's just in a very precarious position here in the 3rd quarter. And they still got a shot if they run the bunch up top. First downs are precious. Miami, 4-man rush, and they hit the first down. They carry Devon Johnson, able to fight through, and they're in the very first time the senior touches the football.
5th catch on the year for Johnson, but he was in that bunch formation.
Georgia Tech had 12 men on the field. They didn't get the 12th man off. No flag coming. Helmet comes off, however. Hatochu, the linebacker. And he'll be checking out for 1 play. Off he goes.
Again, we've seen both of these offenses go with their hurry up a good portion, if not almost exclusively, this ball game.
Now wind the clock forward. Paul Johnson takes a good hard look at it. Into the shadows, the bottom of your screen, slips Dorsett.
Miami is going to take a timeout here, I believe.
Well, timeout taken on the far side of the field. We believe, and here's our referee. Yes, there were. We saw that. There were 12 men on the field. It could have been Lewis Young running off the field. It was right in front of the Tech bench. And the corner, trying to scamper off, had about 3 strides before he hit the sideline. And this is reviewable. And again, the buzz did not come from upstairs to challenge this. Rather, it was Al Golden. Now, if he's unsuccessful, this will cost him a timeout. But what the heck? At this point of the game, trailing 36-19.
Well, 2nd and 3 would be a whole lot better than 2nd and 8.
But we saw it in front of the Tech bench. Whether or not we have the video of it, take a look at the bottom, and there you see KJ right at between the 40 and the 50. Player coming off as the ball is snapped. And Paul Johnson knew it too.
But I'm going to tell you though, Paul, there's some leniency in that rule. I mean, once the kid gets outside the numbers and it is a sprint to get to the sideline, I don't like that call.
Well, Doug Rhodes, the director of officiating in the Atlantic Coast Conference, tells his 10 separate crews, make the calls that impact the football game.
And this one does not impact, in my view, impact the game.
But in defense of Al Golden, he's reaching right now. He's against the ropes. He knows it. He needs something here with 7:40 remaining in the third. The video evidence was out there. The ball was snapped. There were 12 men on the field. And in fact, the Yellow Jacket was on out.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands. Miami is charged a timeout.
See, that's that leniency that they've got to give them. They didn't make the call on the field. You got to let it go.
I thought that was video evidence that there was a 12th man on the field. They just.
But he's outside the numbers, sprinting to the sideline.
Help me with
He's
this.
not going to affect the play.
Just help me with this a moment. One more question for you. Was he on the Miami side of the field when they snapped the ball, or his own? Doesn't matter in your view.
Doesn't matter.
Well, that cost Miami a timeout. That does matter. If they're able to, in somehow, some way, get back into this game, tighten up the score. Trips in that bunch. The package to the right side, toss sweep out that way, and Johnson cannot get a block. All that help. And Atochu is right there, and Atochu is having a fabulous afternoon.
Great penetration that time by the defensive line and the outside linebacker. They're playing in Miami's backfield for much of this series.
Scott heads to the left side of his quarterback, along with Devon Johnson. No relation, by the way, to the freshman in Duke Johnson. Blitz coming. A lot of hit. Flag down, however, far side of the field. This catch is made by Devon Johnson, his second. And now we'll go back to the line of scrimmage and the far side in front of the Miami bench for the yellow.
This will be defensive offside. Obviously, Tech will decline it.
Offside. Defense. Number 95. Penalties decline. Results reflect. First down.
That's Chris Crenshaw, a reserve outside linebacker for Georgia Tech. Flagged on the play. That is for Georgia Tech. It's third penalty of the afternoon. First and 10 from the 22. Had a lot of time to check down and find James. And James is belted forward by his big tackle.
Here comes another flag.
Atochu on this stop.
This will be holding against Miami.
Back will go the other way.
Maybe it may be a legal block, not holding. Either way, against the Hurricanes.
Block in the back. Number 49. 10 yards from the end of the run. Still first down.
49 would be the tight end, Dyron Dye. It is the 6th flag against Dye and the Hurricanes. And he'll head to the sideline. And that clock continues to roll. 6 minutes, 20 seconds and counting away from our fourth quarter. First and a long way to go, as you see. The shadows growing long. Morris throws the slant, contact at the 3-yard line. Dorsett wants a flag.
I'm not sure that ball was catchable.
No flag coming. That's the ruling. But there obviously was a collision with Rod sweeping the corner.
It's second down.
Was that an intention to impede, or were both players
Ball's not catchable.
headed for the football?
Ball's not catchable.
And thus no flag. Second down and 15. The 12th play of this possession for the Kings. A little hitch. Everybody covered. Morris the other way. Guns. Well, Hearns tried to get his feet down and could not. He was open on the far side of the field at the 5-yard line. Too much on it.
Wouldn't have counted anyway because Hearns had stepped out of bounds, not forced out. Watch him step out right there. He's an ineligible receiver.
It's third down.
And it's third down. Duke Johnson back in the backfield. Setting up the screen to him. Cuts back for a block. Duke lunges to the 12-yard line. That's about 4 shy of the first down on the golden tackle.
Better look again, Paulie.
Now, he did get it. First down.
That was great effort.
And you look in the red zone today, as presented by CPI. And that rushing touchdown by James was the very first allowed this season by Georgia Tech on the ground. First down from the 12. On the slant in coverage, broken up at the 2-yard line for Dorsett.
Nice read on the ball by Isaiah Johnson. Pass intended for
Hunt. It was Dorsett.
Hunt Days was there as well.
It's second down.
I'll tell you that Morris is brave with that football. He had confidence that Dorsett could come up with the catch. This time James looking for running room. Ducks under to the 6-yard line. Rewind under 5 to go in the third. Euclid Cummings, defensive end on the stop. James is going to ask him. Off he comes to the freshman Johnson. Will be sent in by Al Golden. Third down here.
It's third down and 5.
A very long drive by Morris and Miami. This is the 16th snap for the Kings. Backside pressure. He left to throw. It's rolled incomplete as he is taken down by Jameel Thomas blitzing from the corner.
You don't see that a lot from an Algro defense, but when he does it, it's usually very, very effective. You see right there, unblocked, and that very nearly could have been intentional grounding because the ball did not cross the line of scrimmage.
On to try and salvage 3 on the 17th play from 23. Jake Whitelaw. The snap, the spot, and the kick. And at least Miami off this marathon march. Now coaching at Georgia State. They're playing the University of Richmond today over in the Georgia Dome. This will be Coach Curry's final season. At the helm here will come Orrin Smith. Knocked down at the 17-yard line. Darius Gunter on special teams.
Well, we've seen here in the second half, Georgia Tech pound the ball inside, loosen up this Miami offense, then go over the top in the passing game. Let's see if that is a similar strategy they use on this series.
And they scored 36 unanswered, and their quarterback, Tevin Washington, a graduate student from Alabama, 3 touchdowns today, all on the ground. Hard running, Zach Lasky. The B-back. Here's Lasky.
Kelvin King, stop.
Lasky working in between those tackles, runs out of an arm tackle right there. A few more white helmets get on him, but not before he picks up 8.
You like a number of these key contributors for Tech, former walk-on. Right at 50 yards today on 6 carries, just under it. And he'll get the first down himself and work over that interior before he's pushed back. Johnny Paul, the middle linebacker, on this stop. First down, Yellow Jackets. By the way, if we just received word on Malcolm Lewis, the wide receiver for Miami that was injured earlier in this game, late in the first quarter, he dislocated his ankle. That has been the official diagnosis from a nearby hospital, KJ. It was carted that way, so for family and friends and fans of the King program, that's the story there. Got high. Starts in motion. Tailback to St. John Davis, and the quarterback will take the hit. After 1, Shayon Green popped him the 31-yard line. How tough is it, KJ, and you were an option quarterback at one time, to take the hits that Tevin Washington does time after time and continue to function at a very high level?
It is difficult. It's a mindset as much as anything. When we were talking earlier in the first half about mental toughness, you just got to not worry about the bumps and the bruises and the strains and the pulls and just keep doing your job.
He has gone over 2,000 rushing yards in his career today. Lasky on this carry into the arms of Paul. And Tech has so many outstanding rushers. If you come to play for Paul Johnson in Georgia Tech with this offense,
you're going to get a few touches.
You're going to get a few touches. You remember Jonathan Dwyer 4 years ago, the ACC Player of the Year, 1,000-yard rusher. Anthony Allen 2 years ago. Tevin Washington last season for Johnson came within 14 yards at quarterback of a 1,000-yard rushing season. That's coming. He's got to get it away. He throws just before he hit the sideline. And the pressure from Nantimbo Fendris. As sprinting was Fendris, trying to dial up the quarterback.
Well, everybody on an edge, and then they got through. It came from the backside and forced Washington to just get rid of the ball. Caitlin offered a reserve linebacker, number 57, with the pressure.
Here's Sean Poole, the punt, and he'll be kicking to Philip Dorsett. He started right, goes back left. As if he hooked it with the 7-iron. Closed the face of the club. It was headed this way. How does it end up 53 yards away in the other direction? It's a 46-yard punt. You know, the PGA Tour Championship is taking place East Lake, north of the city here. You close that club face, that happens there. Playing for a $10 million bonus.
I don't have enough credit to qualify for the damage deposit on a golf course like that.
All of Bobby Jones memorabilia, so much of it there. The 3 running backs are James, Johnson, and Clemens. Got them all out there for Washington. James spins out of those tackles up to the 27-yard line. Ajan Cross, the defensive tackle, didn't quit on the play and comes all the way out in the flat and makes the stop.
With that successful field goal, it's back to a 2-possession ball game.
Good point.
No need to panic. No need to go too much hurry up.
And we've seen the arm. We saw it at the outset today of Morris. The quick strike capability. And there goes Johnson. We're going to stretch it to the far side. Morris throws the slant through the arms. A very catchable ball for Philip Dorsett. Boy, if he catches it, he runs it while Isaiah Johnson was in the vicinity.
You hear it said often. That's one that Morris wishes he could have back. That would have been a difficult catch.
Yeah, you're right.
But you got to be able to dial that one back down a little bit, give your guy a chance.
Running between the tackles for James, trying to pick up this first, and it looks like they have it. Here's Steve.
Well, Paul, Georgia Tech long snapper Tyler Morgan was wearing number 40, not his normal number. This year, each week, a different senior will wear number 40 to honor linebacker Julian Burnett. Burnett suffered a neck injury in the Sun Bowl last year. His teammates called him Rambo. He was a leader on and off the field. So the players decided to wear number 40, a different senior each week, to honor Burnett.
Scott. Thank you, Steve. Up to the 47-yard line. And Paul Johnson was telling us yesterday that Burnett was quite a football player.
He had all of the instincts and went along with some great physical talent. And could keep time a little bit. That's Tevin Washington wearing number 40 last week.
Morris. That's a tough catch by Darren Dye, or rather Clive Walford. Walford, the sophomore, holds on to it in front of Isaiah Johnson.
Walford, another in the long line of Miami tight ends. 6'4", 248, size, strength, and a little bit of speed.
Close to 300 yards passing by Morris. And maybe still another first down for Mike James. It looks easy, but you have 11 scholarship defenders trying to tackle Mike James, and he pauses and moves a bit, shuffles to his left. Not all that fast, but here at the end of the
quad, Miami's run 14 more. Big numbers for Morris. 3 rushing touchdowns for Washington. There's the architect of that Miami offensive line.
They've done a great job today. Art Kehoe owns 5 national championship rings, a part of the great Cane tradition. And throwing for Dorsett, and he misses what would have been a second touchdown to him. And oh my goodness. Big Art. Been at the U 28 years. His second tour. Played for Howard Schnellenberger. But his offensive line, and he's playing kids up front. Case in point, Eric Flowers, that right tackle, as a freshman. They've given Morris time to throw today.
Only 4 returners on this entire Miami offense from last year.
And I don't believe that Morris has been sacked in this game. Credit to his decision making and the protection up front. 8 belted by number 8, Lewis Young, on Duke Johnson. That is a couple, and it sets up 3rd and 8.
And Miami has had success on 3rd down here in the second half. That's the good news. The bad news, they keep putting themselves in 3rd and long situations.
They've converted 9 of 13 today. You're absolutely right, Mr. Jones. The play for Eduardo Clemens in his ear hole. 3 receiver formation. Georgia Tech loads the box. Here they come. Morris throws back to make the great catch. Is Rashawn Scott at the 15-yard line. He went up the ladder with Sweeting draped on him and comes down with the football.
Scott voted the most improved offensive player in spring ball for Hurricanes. That is a great, great catch. Concentration.
And it comes on 3rd down. They convert, as Scott with a bit of a height advantage too. Great leaping ability. And we have an injured Yellow Jacket back upfield at the 45-yard line.
Scott tied for 3rd on this team, had 8 catches coming in. Big frame, 6'2", 190 as they attend to the Georgia Tech player.
That's Lewis Young, the cornerback, being assisted. Following the first down grab by Rashawn Scott. It has Miami in business early in the 4th quarter.
Not a fancy route right here. Get off the line of scrimmage, a little pirouette, get some distance, and then concentrate on the ball. Nice delivery by Morris. Nicely done.
Injured his knee, did Scott, a year ago. He's back in a big way here today with 14:06 to go in this ACC affair. And he's found a wealth of receivers.
8 different Hurricanes have caught a pass,
including Scott with that sensational 3rd down conversion. It's 1st down and 10, just outside the 15-yard line. James, the setback, takes it off the counter, gets a block. Still on his feet, 5 for the end zone. He reaches, crosses the plane, and scores. What a phenomenal effort. What a great effort by Mike James. Fighting through Tech defenders.
Runs right out of a tackle right here and then just keeps working towards the goal line. Gets that ball over there, crosses the plane, ran right through both Jamia Thomas and Rod Sweeting.
As you might suspect, this is under review as he reached it out. And his mitts are so strong because he's very fortunate that wasn't punched out as he lifted the ball toward the goal line. But you be the judge. Is it in? Is it over that plane, KJ, or not?
I say yes.
On the hit by Isaiah Johnson. And the officiating crew in review will be looking at our pictures.
See, the ball's up there, no knee on the ground.
How did that ball not come out when it hit Johnson's helmet? This would be an interesting call because we do not have a down the goal line look. So neither does video review today.
Then the ruling on the field stands.
That's correct. It must be irrefutable evidence. Well, first the 17-play drive. Now this.
Ruling on the field stands.
There you go.
Touchdown.
So you saw with us, nothing to reverse it. A 17-play march and now a 10-play drive for Miami. And it's 36, 28, 29 makes it a one-possession game with a lot of football to be played. That is leadership by example by Mike James. Fighting his way into the end zone. Jake Wyclaw out of the hole. Pumps it home. A touchdown separate the two. Miami has rallied in the fourth quarter. And it's their senior captain and Mike James. Fourth today in Atlanta, 19 by Miami. We are told that's the biggest deficit Georgia Tech has faced in the first quarter since 1978. And they responded.
And those 3 points by Miami, the only 3 points given up by this Tech defense in the second and third quarter combined of all games.
13 minutes, 41 seconds of football to be played. Oren Smith, who knows what to do with the kickoff return, bursts through. He's all the way out to the 39-yard line.
Owen Smith on the return.
A return of 30. Good field position for Tevin Washington and the Yellow Jackets. Let's take a look at our Polaris hardest working player today. And what about the Georgia Tech quarterback? 3 touchdowns on the ground.
You see the passing yardage, rushing yardage, and as important, maybe even more so, those 3 rushing touchdowns. Your Polaris hardest working player.
Looks to pitch, cannot, wrapped up by Anthony Chickalo. That's his 3rd tackle for a loss today.
And again, this Miami defense playing in Georgia Tech's backfield, much like Georgia Tech has done occasionally in the Miami backfield. A lot of penetration by these defensive lines.
Yeah, Miami collectively keep, to your point, 6 tackles behind the line of scrimmage for that Kane defense. Mark D'Onofrio, a nice job, the coordinator. Former Penn State linebacker and captain. Washington, maybe a yard. This time Olsen Pierre, his first stop. Number 91. And here is Steve with an injury update.
Paul, injuries piling up on the Georgia Tech defensive sideline. Number 8, Lewis Young, cornerback, hurt his right shoulder. He will not return. And Jeremiah Adechu, the linebacker, they're working on his left leg. No status update on number 45, Adechu.
All right, thank you very much, Steve. It has been punishing, reflecting the intensity of this game. It is 3rd and long for Washington. Miami desperate to get the ball back, blitzes. Washington throws incomplete. The pressure was coming from Tyrone Cornelius, the linebacker.
A late flag in the defensive backfield.
And it's against Miami.
Oh my goodness.
Holding defense, number 20. 10-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Would not have been enough for the first down, but it's an automatic first down.
Golden does not have a challenge here. He's using it, and he is saying the ball was tipped, as you see. So it shouldn't be a hold downfield.
No, it does not matter on holding. That only matters on interference.
The 7th flag against Miami. Thomas Finney with the infraction here. How about that call? For Tech, it appeared had been thwarted on 3rd down. Miami had gotten the stop with 12 minutes remaining. And now from the 48, Tech with new life. Near midfield. A huge call. That holding penalty. Got high. Tiptoe across the midfield stripe.
Boy, Jimmy Gaines had a direct shot on Guthrie and missed him.
Don't you, if you're a defender as you were, you're salivating over one of those.
Except you don't want to watch it in tape room next day.
On Monday. Well, it's 2nd down. To the far side heads Waller. Washington again, and the pitch to Orrin Smith. Being stretched out, support coming. He'll lose yardage. Deion Bush, a freshman, got there first, number 2. That's Duke Johnson's roommate back in Coral Gables. It's quite a dormitory pair, those two.
They're certainly not going to be doing much at night because they're going to be tired. As much playing time as both of them are getting. Nice job by Bush on the outside.
From Columbus High School, South Florida. And just his 2nd career start. It comes here on the road. Deion Hill, the 31, will set up on the wing. Lasky, the lone setback. Orrin Smith in the slot. Washington looking his way. Looks to set its feet. Now he'll be wrapped up. Down he goes, and it's Chickalo still again. On 3rd down, and this time Georgia Tech will have to punt.
Just relentless pursuit by number 71. Working on the backside, just keeps coming and coming and coming, and then gets on the front side, and down he goes.
And Sean Poole will be kicking to Philip Dorsett. That young man wearing number 40, the senior Tyler Morgan, will snap it to it. Miami was coming.
Nice kick.
He hammers this. And the catch is made 4 yards into his own end zone. Comes number 4. Looking to get a block to the far side. He's out to the 20. And a big hit at the 25-yard line. They're pulling them apart from each other. And there's a flag, by the way, all the way across the field, laying but right on the 15-yard line. Dorsett took quite a chance going 4 yards deep into his own end zone.
During the return, blocking the back, receiving team, 17, half the distance from the spot of the foul, 1st down.
Now Golden,
Media timeout.
disbelieving. The ball will come back and be spotted inside the 10 with 10:07 to play. Marching band, we're reminded a big music festival taking place Midtown this weekend. The Foo Fighters were last night. Keith, you're going to go see Pearl Jam this evening, am I right?
No.
Ludacris? I think our producer is Dave Barringer. Gary Clem headed to see.
Where's Casey and the Sunshine Band?
Following the illegal contact from behind. Morris from his own end zone. And again has an open receiver in Dorsett. And frustrating for Dorsett because he could have run a while.
Well, and Morris has been just a little bit errant in his throws this entire 2nd half. He's overthrown a couple of deep balls, overshot some inside routes, that time a little too far to give the receiver an opportunity to catch and run.
This is on a career day, by the way, in which he was throwing for 320 yards. Not 322, actually. Hemmed in Washington. Try as he might, no getting away this time from Euclid Cummings for Mike James. It is. There's Euclid along. A Emmanuel DAK, 93 on his birthday.
Nice job by Georgia Tech's defensive front holding their ground now. With your Aldo Pro, defensive coordinator for Georgia Tech, do you bring pressure or do you drop?
And we've seen him to walk from the secondary.
Keep your eye on the bunch formation up there.
Into the box. On third down. Four-man rush. Pressure coming. Throw made. Dorsett. First down. 32-yard line. That was laid in brilliantly. Right over the top of Brandon Watts, who was out there trying to cover a wide receiver.
Well, evidently, Steven got a little upset with my earlier comment, because you're exactly right. You can't throw this one any better.
And you saw Corey Carlson coming up too in support. He split the defenders. Room to work now. A one-possession game. 8.5 to play. Miami mounting a comeback. The throw behind the intended target, Walford, who is after the whistle, wrestled to the ground, and there are the flags.
Yeah, that wasn't as vicious as it could have been, but that's certainly not a good decision by Jabari Hunt Days. He didn't slam him to the ground. He kind of fell with him, but still worthy of a 15-yard penalty.
After the play, personal foul. Defense, number 32. 15 yards from the previous spot. First down.
That is just the third penalty committed by Paul Johnson's Yellow Jackets.
Watch him right now. Yeah, I'm going to. Oh, I just fall with him.
He's just a freshman. His brother is St. John Days, a running back, quarterback, other side of the ball. Now here's Duke Johnson, who can take a chunk out of Grant Field in a hurry. As Miami works near midfield. Morris three-step drop. Everybody covered. Now needs some help. He throws, and sliding at the 35-yard line is Devon Johnson, and that's ruled a catch.
Nice effort by Johnson. Get those arms underneath him, underneath the ball, cradle it, and then roll.
And Miami with another first down. Devon Johnson's third grab today. He had only 4 catches coming into this game to the senior.
Now, I think all of them have been here in the second half.
There goes the Duke with a stiff arm to the 1-yard line. Oh, to mark him out of bounds inside the 5 at the 4.
We've seen him get in there in traffic and almost get out of it. This time he does get out of it. Does Johnson.
32 yards. How's that for a big chunk?
Isaiah Johnson on the tackle.
Driving to what would be the tying touchdown. Johnson held up by Malcolm Monroe.
And Monroe in there for the injured Tauchu. With great penetration. That one actually lost yardage, didn't it?
3-time ACC Coach of the Year, Al Grove. University of Virginia Cavaliers, the professor defensive coordinator. Signaling in the plays. 7.5 to play. Miami may have declared there. Isaiah Johnson was up in the box. Is he coming? Look at all those gold helmets stacked in there, tight to the line of scrimmage. Morris throws the slant. Too hot to handle on the backside. Intended for Scott.
And again, Scott was open. That's a ball Morris completes more times than not.
And that is 6. He had position. The inside hip was open.
And Tauchu, Paul, back out on the field.
When he has to go. Sucking it up. Some toughness. On 3rd and goal. Miami a perfect 3 for 3 so far today in the red zone. James finds the end zone, but there's the whistle prior to the snap of the ball.
Is it delay? Let's see.
Timeout. Georgia Tech.
Whoa.
First charge timeout.
Just prior to the whistle. Just prior to that whistle.
30-second timeout.
Miami, as you would imagine, steaming. For Mike James had his 2nd touchdown. In the second half, Georgia Tech exploding. Tony's in it.
8 different Tech players have had rushing yardage in this ball game. Washington, and then here
James
at the very end gets across, and now Miami knocking on the door again.
And that would have been James, but by a fraction of seconds. Scoring to pull within an extra point of the timeout. And how about that offensive line? The boys of Morris, Jason's falling behind 36-19. It's a huge deficit. 17 points. They've had a 17-play drive, a 10-play drive. Here comes the 8th of this possession against Al Grove's defense.
And Miami's late getting out of the huddle. That play clock, that 25-second play clock has already started.
Remember, they one timeout on the challenge, so they have 2 to go the rest of the way. Play clock at 15.
Trips to the top of the field.
Play clock at 5. Play clock at 2. Timeout Miami.
They were late. Miami was.
Miami, second charge, timeout.
With a surprising absence of urgency as they came back to the sideline.
You've got to recognize it's a 30-second timeout. That one is on the coaching staff.
I think that's what Al Golden was pointing to.
I don't know about that, but that mistake is on the coaching staff.
Well, that leaves Miami with but 1. And 7:12 to go. Ever so close to tying this game after the fabulous start here on this very first day of autumn in the capital city of Georgia.
Can we do a ball game just like that once, just one time?
That reminds me, our producer today is Dave Behringer, and our director Gary Clem.
I see the connection.
A lot like Michael Thompson, who's our technical director. Dresses like that quite often. As part of our ACC football family, we hope you've enjoyed this one with us. The Armed Forces Network around the world. It's been a thriller. On 3rd down. Again, Mike James, the senior, is the running back. He stays in for protection. They throw to the far side. Far too high for Devon Johnson. And Morris is kicking himself. Field goal unit will come on with 7:07 to play.
It's 4th down.
How huge that timeout.
Oh, absolutely. On both sides, actually. Because that one may come back to haunt Miami later in this game. Jake Whiteclaw has been perfect today. He's knocked home a pair from 38 and 23.
But if I'm in Georgia Tech, I'm in field goal safe. I'm looking for a fake here.
Ryan Williams, the backup quarterback, is the holder. They put it down, and he missed the field goal. He missed from 22. Miami comes up empty after the long drive. The first miss of the season for their senior in Jake Whiteclaw. A recreation of the McCamish Pavilion here. Brian Gregory, the men's coach, Michelle Joseph, the women's coach, in her 10th year. What a show palace they will have when it opens in November for Tech basketball.
Can we still call it the Thunderdome?
No, they used to. Jake Whiteclaw, only the 3rd miss of his career, and he's held the kicking chores for 3 seasons at Miami. A chip shot, there is such a thing for Al Golden's team, from 22. He comes up empty. Should have had 7. Comes away nothing.
The good news is it's still a 1-possession contest.
And he has but one timeout, and here is Georgia Tech trying to swallow that clock. Exhausted if they can. Kevin Washington, tremendous afternoon. 3 touchdowns rushing. Pitches here late. Running room to the 32-yard line on Tony Zennon. Let's check in with Steve.
But Paul, you can tell the intensity has picked up. 7-point game in less than 7 to play. None of the Georgia Tech players sitting on the bench. And a lot of the fans, most of them, in fact, using their nice seats. They're standing, not sitting.
Had a nice crowd today, Steve. But better way to spend this first day of autumn. Marvelous. 83 kickoff, about 81 now. After another chilly start for Paul Johnson. His team came out storming in quarter number 2. Now can they put away Miami? Lasky wrapped up, taken down. The line of scrimmage. Shayon Green from Tifton, Georgia. An all-class 5A selection 4 years ago as a high school player right here before he hurt his knee. Means a lot to him to come back to Georgia.
And this is as slow as you'll ever see the Georgia Tech offense.
Really, just take your time. Watch that play clock. When will they try and snap it, KJ? 2. Right now it has 14, 13, 12.
Too fast.
Kevin Washington snaps it and hits it up inside. Does Lasky. And Chicolo with another stop. Big day for him. Lasky today, the sophomore from Peachtree City. He's carried the ball 11 times for Paul Johnson. Expected to see Oren Smith a bit, maybe Zenon a bit. Lasky, following a quarterback who came in as the leading receiver, has been a focal part of this. You see the day that Chicolo has had. Tremendous. 3rd down for Chicolo and that defense. Can they chase the Jackets from the field? Lasky fighting for the 1st down. A key carry. Eddie Johnson cannot bring him down.
This is close. Johnson, the true freshman, number 44, wraps him up. Lasky just keeps working and working and working and working and working. See, the way he fell, that ball was quote unquote behind him. This is very, very close from my angle.
All right. The headlinesman, Joe Greiser. He's an accountant by trade. Good with keeping up with numbers. Says yes, it is a 1st down. Brings the chain gang over. They stretch him out. 1st down with 4.5 to play. The old adage, this being a game of inches, that was not that much.
And every 1st down is worth about 1:30, 1:45 on the clock.
Because the clock is already started. It's rolling. 3.5 to go. Our thanks today to the Director of Athletics at Georgia Tech, Dan Radakovich, the Assistant Athletic Director of Media Relations, Dean Buchan, for their hospitality, their preparation, assistance as we got ready to bring you this ACC showdown. Why not Lasky? Sure-handed, secure with the football. They're showing you here how much they trust him.
We talked about at the open of the game that Tech had to hang on to the football. Turnovers had really cost them in prior contests against Miami. This time Georgia Tech has done just that, and they've created 2 turnovers, forced the Hurricanes into 2 miscues.
On 2nd down, our thanks as well to Chris Yandel from the Sports Information Office at the University of Miami in Coral Gables. So aided us tremendously. 2nd down. There goes Smith on the big pitch. Lowers his head to the 49-yard line. Chicolo is playing sideline to sideline today. Might be the game of his career for this sophomore. And really that career is just starting.
He had 9 tackles coming into this ball game. He's pretty close to 9 in this contest alone.
Now, by your theory, is good high, the compact running back, or got high, compact running back checks in. A 1st down here.
It may be over.
It might be with only one timeout remaining, but that would take another minute or so off that clock, right? The 3rd down snap. Lasky. Don't believe he got there this time, and it's Chicolo still again. What an afternoon by Miami's number 71.
Well, he has been all over the field, and a good portion of it in Georgia Tech's backfield. A couple of 3 tackles for loss, a sack.
He could very well be ACC's Defensive Lineman of the Week.
I look for Georgia Tech to run this clock down and then take a timeout.
They need a yard. Lasky in the backfield. Got high shifts. Another shift trying to get the Canes to jump. Play clock down to 0. Timeout taken by Paul Johnson, just out of your picture.
Now we punt. So Miami will get the ball back with 2 minutes plus or minus and 1 timeout remaining, unless Paul Johnson wants to take a very, very big gamble.
Why don't you line it up? You have, again, since 2008, more rushing yards than any major football program in America.
Because you also have about 8 or 9 tackles for loss against you in this ball game alone.
But if
and you give Miami half a field versus 80 yards or more.
If you get the first down, though, the ball game, for all intents and purposes, without a mistake that you commit, self-inflicted damage, probably over.
If I lost 50 pounds, I'd be a sex symbol.
I would not go that far. But I like the way you think. Here's the Coastal Division standings. And for Miami, that first ACC win came on opening day. They rallied from behind, as they're trying to do here today in Boston, up in Boston College. Georgia Tech, the heartbreaker. And they lost on Labor Day night in Blacksburg and the crushed Virginia.
The biggest part of it, Paul, is not the wins. It's the losses. Because no team with 2 losses is going to make it to the championship game in Charlotte.
Duke Johnson along with Dorsett in twin tandem, trying to get a return some way on this punt. The tumble, fair catch made at the 8-9 yard line by Dorsett. 41-yard punt.
Well, here's Mr. Dependability, the senior in Mike James. Really works hard in the weight room, very compact, 188, 190 pounds, doesn't miss assignments, a leader by example, and he's had an outstanding ball game here in Atlanta.
Certainly has 13 carries today, the workhorse in Mike James, and not 1 but 2 touchdowns. Now, how often do you practice? And Miami, by the way, practices in the morning each and every day. Do you practice the 2-minute drill? You got 1 timeout. You are 91 yards away. And you need 7 to send this into overtime. Recall Virginia Tech was able to drive on Georgia Tech in Blacksburg on Labor Day night and get that game into overtime, and the Hokies prevailed. Johnson on first down. So Tech has been somewhat in this position defensively and been unable to put him away.
And it's a very difficult, fine line for a defensive coordinator in a situation like this. Do you keep everything in front of you, rush 3 or 4, drop everyone else, or do you try to put some pressure on him?
3 hands on the ground. The throw is short. The catch appeared to be made by Johnson at the 21. That would be a first down to momentarily halt the clock, and Miami's right up to the line of scrimmage. Shane McDermott, the center, already over the football, saying, let's snap it, let's get going against Al Groh's defense. From the 21, whistles.
The ruling on the field is a catch. The play is under further review.
Was a catch. This should be to Miami's advantage, though, because they get a moment.
And you get over and have the opportunity to call 2 or 3 plays.
So is our referee today, Jeff Heiser, from here in Atlanta, goes on the headset. A look from our camera position. It clearly appeared to be a catch.
Remember, it doesn't. The ball can touch the ground. The ball touching the ground does not make it a non-catch. It's does the receiver control it, and/or did the ground help him control it? And clearly, he's got both hands around that football. That's a catch.
And so Jed Fish, the offensive coordinator, in the middle of that huddle, along with his head coach in Golden. And here's what we're going to do, men. In this situation, a fresh set of downs, some breathing room at the 21-yard line, and 1:42 to play. And this review aids and abets Miami.
But remember one thing about reviews, the longer they take, the more likely they're overturning. Not always, but sometimes.
Al Golden's offense today, and give Fish, that offensive line, the quarterback and Morris, a world of credit. 520 total yards against Georgia Tech.
The Achilles heel of this Tech squad right now is that teams are able to work between the 20s. They're pretty good at keeping the score down, but opponents have been able to rack up yardage against this Georgia Tech defense.
How about 148 on the ground? Does that surprise you more? The 372, a career high by quarterback Stephen Morris.
If you look at Miami, I'd say that's the balance that will be successful for them. And this has taken an inordinate amount of time.
And they are still looking upstairs. And this plays to the Keith Jones theory. The longer it takes, the odds are against you.
Not always, but a good bit of the time.
Next week, by the way, for Miami at home, just their second home game, NC State be the opposition. Here is another look. And Devon Johnson appears to make that catch. Georgia Tech moves out of conference play next Saturday. Middle Tennessee State here, and then it's on to Clemson to open up the month of October.
And my old teammate and his group will be headed to Atlanta. Head coach Rick Stocksdale with MTSU.
What a fabulous passing quarterback he was for Coach Bobby Bowden prior to the Seminoles entering the Atlantic Coast Conference. And the Seminoles tonight against Clemson. And here's the call.
After further review, the play stands as called. Please reset the game clock to 1:48. 1:48.
As you can see, that will add 6 more seconds. And that could mean a lot.
And that's because they had started the clock before the buzz came down to stop it and review it.
Mean a lot for Stephen Morris. 79 yards away. He needs 6 and the extra point. 4-man rush, throws the slant route, hits it to Johnson. Johnson upfield, 49-yard line. He likes looking 24's way.
The 24 has had a big game here in Atlanta.
From the 40, blitz coming. Hot rod again, 24 to midfield. And the 41-yard line. Rod Sweeting gets it.
And again, this is where the review helped Miami, because they're now in the third of, I'm sure, several plays that everybody knows what they're running given the time to huddle.
If Logan Thomas and Blacksburg, Frank Beamer are watching, they have seen this before. That was a very catchable ball that was very nearly intercepted. This one was not Morris's fault. It stops the clock with 1:11 to go. Rashawn Scott woulda, shoulda, coulda.
We saw Scott with a tremendous catch here on the near air sideline earlier. That one, just no excuse for it. Isaiah Johnson, the closest Tech defender.
71 seconds to play. 3-receiver package. 4 Jackets come. They set up the screen. Johnson trying to get away. Stays on his feet. Flag down, however. There is a flag along the line of scrimmage. Check that. Not a flag. It was a shoe that came off.
And Johnson right there, Paul, shows the fact that he is a freshman. He should have throttled down and let those 2 other offensive linemen get ahead of him. And he had an opportunity for more yardage. A little too anxious.
James. This time there is a penalty marker that hits the green grass at the 29-yard line to stop the clock. Inside a minute to play.
This will be offsides on Tech.
And Al Golden shouting out to Jeff Heaser, the referee, what he wants to do.
Offsides, defense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Clock will still start once the ball is put in play.
And again, 1 timeout remaining for Morris and the Hurricanes. But a fabulous finish at historic Grant Field in Atlanta. A lot of time to throw toward the end zone. And it's incomplete. Philip Dorsett. He thought he had it.
The official ruled that it hit the ground. Let's get a look at it right here. Yep, it did. See, the ball hit the ground before it got to his hands.
But by a foot higher.
Ruling on the field is an incomplete pass. The play is under further review.
And again, this benefits Miami tremendously, even though they won't get the touchdown call.
And for Al Golden, waiting for a breakout performance by Morris. 426 yards through the air, but he just misses here.
It's very close. Great concentration by Dorsett. But the ball hits the ground before it gets to his hands, in my opinion.
Dorsett, 9 grabs today, those that he has made, and 1 touchdown.
Side judge right there on it.
Perfectly positioned. I mean, for the reviews do this. They get it right. And the men that work in the Atlantic Coast Conference, in large measure, do a superb job with phenomenal athletes playing in this league and other conferences. And it happens in the blink of an eye. He led by 19, trailed by 17.
After further review, the play stands as called. Incomplete pass.
Now again, don't be lazy if you're Miami. 38 seconds left. This clock should start once the ball is put in play.
Umpire is over the football. Shane McDermott, the center, set to snap it.
Correction, it does not start.
No, it's an incomplete pass.
Yep, you're right. I apologize.
Here comes the blitz. Morris throws. There was contact at the 7 that will draw a flag on Rod Sweeting. Sweeting on Dorsett. That was contact. The ball in the air at the 7-yard line.
Pass interference. Defense, number 6. Bob foul. Automatic first down.
Paul Johnson was out to say this ball is not catchable.
Well, you can't judge that here because he was, see right there, he slows him up so much. You have no idea if you could get to him.
And right on the contact, and again, the field judge guns that yellow handkerchief. And it's 1st and goal for Miami. This drive started for Morris back at his 9-yard line. What a march by the John Hurricane.
Officials talking right there. Now a 3rd one joins them.
Well, that becomes a conference now. We may have a 4th come in.
And now a 4th that will come
and a 5th.
Tell Morris to get back on over there.
For Paul Johnson, he has seen the way this movie ends before, hasn't he?
The clock is correct. 42 seconds.
This will be the 9th play of the drive. It's consumed 2 minutes and 55 seconds thus far. Al Golden churning inside. Can he get it into overtime on the road in Atlanta? To James. Another touchdown. An extra point away with 27 seconds to play. Miami has driven the length of Grant Field.
When you go into your 2-minute drill in practice, this is exactly how you draw it up. Superbly executed by Miami. Little screen dump off right here, right up the middle.
And shades of Lane Stadium, Blacksburg. Now the critical extra point by Wyclaw, who missed the field goal earlier. Can you see that stutter step?
He took a stutter step. You're exactly right.
Oh my goodness.
How big is the missed field goal now?
Another look at the touchdown, and they go to their senior leader, and Mike James. A nose for the end zone. 27 seconds to go. Morris, his career day continues in Atlanta. James has rushed for 2 and caught another.
That's 17 unanswered points by Miami. We've had some runs in this contest, haven't we?
8 plays, 91 yards, 133 officially the 10-yard catch. We are tied 36 all. Now, if you are Georgia Tech and you have a capable field goal kicker in Scully, how do you play this? Oren Smith, Jamal Golden to return, and we'll remind you, Oren Smith close to 1,500 career yards in kickoff return. Along the ground, banging around to him. And he's tripped up at the 18-yard line. Hustling special teams by Dallas Crawford.
Nice play by Crawford.
Paul Johnson calls all the plays, we'll remind you.
And if your defense, Miami defense, be careful of the wheel route. Be careful of them slipping that B back right up the middle of the field.
On first down from the 20-yard line, Washington skates to the 30-yard line. Now Georgia Tech has a timeout remaining. They're going to play this into overtime.
Yeah, Paul's going to let this run down, it appears.
They're going to get this into the extra frame just as they open the season on Labor Day night against the Hokies. Another comeback propels Tech into overtime in a game it appeared they had complete control of. Overtime in the ACC just ahead from Bobby Dodd Stadium and Grant Field. Heroes there. Mike James crossing himself. 3 touchdowns today, a career day for Stephen Morris as quarterback, and Paul Johnson elects to get this into overtime. He had this game won, it appeared to us, up 17 in the second half. His defense, Alec Rowe, just got away from him. What changed? They were outscored 14-0 in the fourth.
Well, and again, back to how I view these things, Miami just executed well. They made the throws, the catches, and the runs when they had to.
In the fourth quarter, Miami close to 200 yards of total offense as the captains meet.
All right, guys.
Let's listen in.
Good game so far, okay? Overtime procedure are as follows. Each team has 1 timeout. Miami, you've already used your challenge. You do not have a challenge left. Okay?
Yes, sir.
If we go to the third overtime, we have to go for 2. Okay. Any questions?
Yes, sir.
Miami, tails is the call. Tails is the call. It is a tails.
Defense. Go defense.
Miami has won the toss and elected defense.
So Al wins the toss. He'll put his defense out there first, and let's take a look at the rules. And you heard him pretty well explained by our referee, Mr. Heiser, a moment ago. The coin toss for possession, and we begin at the 25-yard line.
Play clock only. And as mentioned, once you get into the third overtime, you must go for 2. You cannot kick extra points when you score.
Does that go into Mike James' candidacy, by the way, KJ, for ACC Player of the Week honors? 3 touchdowns, and he also got the overtime coin flip right. He went tails. It was tails. No,
I got nothing.
Here is the tying touchdown for Miami, our Z-Mac high-performance play.
Little slip screen right up the middle. And that entire drive, a 91-yard drive by Miami, very, very well executed.
Miami, of course, hoping for a stop, turn around, and gives their kicker Wakefield an opportunity to boot one through. Here comes Godhine. Pretty good dash on first down, wasn't it? 12, 13, 14.
Great job by Washington to get that ball out to him. Tevin was wrapped up right here. Look right there. Cicolo was right on him. Gets that ball out successfully.
And it's spotted on the near hash at the 11-yard line. Scully, necessary. Warming up.
When you take the ball first, you hope you don't have to kick a field goal.
Lasky pounds it. 7-yard line. He's a hard-nosed football player.
6'1", 208 pounds.
The toughness that Paul Johnson coaches. You notice with Johnson, he doesn't have a note in front of him.
Not a single note. How does he do that?
And most coaches have charts, situations, whatever. It's all upstairs. For Paul Johnson. Second down. Inside the 10. Washington, the big pick, Zeman. Inside the 5. This will be third down. Tyrone Cornelius from Stone Mountain, Georgia. Taking over for Raymond Buchanan. Outstanding linebacker.
You think he had a hard time getting some tickets?
I would think so.
Another look. Keep it, keep it, keep it. Pitch it. Nice job on the outside to force, and then gets caught from behind.
And we're down to cases on third down here. Anthony Chickalo, who has led the way defensively. 3 tackles for a loss, 7, and all digging in. Miami can earn a fresh set of downs to the 2. And it appears that Washington, Tevin lowering the head, is driven for the first down.
And again, that's so key. Remember, after that long play early in this series, they put the ball at the 11, which means you get inside the 1, you pick up new downs.
It was Washington's 19th carry for Paul Johnson.
And they're going to bring the sticks on and measure.
As he's shuttling players in, Deion Hill, one of his A-backs, next to him, along with David Sims, and the headlinesman in charge of this. Here comes Mr. Greiser. Spot it down. Ooh.
Ruh-roh, George.
That much. You take the 3.
You take a timeout.
You have 1 here, and he's going to burn it. Timeout taken by Georgia Tech. The 1 they get in overtime. And he'll need Will Paul Johnson and Tevin Washington and his offense about the length of the football for a first down.
Timeout. Georgia Tech.
Tech already is 4 of 6 on 4th down attempts. And I didn't go back and look, but I'd almost have to believe one of those or 2 of those were during the overtime against Virginia Tech. Well, coming into the 4th quarter, Tech was in control, but Miami got hot on offense. Mr. Dependable right there. Ooh, he did break the plane. Rushing touchdown. Then another one. That wasn't. Forces the field goal attempt, which was missed.
That's first miss for Wycliffe his Hurricane career.
But then Miami on a 91-yard touchdown drive in the closing moments to take us to overtime. James on the reception.
72 points, over 1,000 yards of combined total offense today, and a shootout at Grant Field. It's 4th down. How about those eye-popping numbers?
And this doesn't surprise me at all. A gamble, no question.
The Canes dig in. Washington, Smith and Lasky behind him. He carries. He may have been stopped cold. He may have been stopped cold. He stutter stepped back. Miami believes they've stuffed it.
Miami needs to be careful because remember, he only needed just a little bit. Eddie Johnson in there on the tackle. Needed just a little bit for the first down. He did not, repeat, did not have to score. By the way, that is the touchdown play that Washington scored on previously.
Down the line. Does he earn the first down?
Great job by Johnson to get his head in there.
And it does not appear to be a first down.
Wow.
How about that for Miami? Stunned are they in Atlanta.
Watch number 44 right there. Nobody blocked him. Nobody blocked him.
That's the top ground attack in America, stuffed by the Hurricanes, needing the length of the football. And now all Miami has to do is score in any way, shape, or form. And the Canes have rallied from 17 down.
And conventional wisdom, Paul, says you run 3 running plays in between the hashes. Tell your backs to cover the ball. See how much yardage you can get, and then if you need to, try the field goal. Because if you don't make it, overtime just continues.
Jake Wyclif's best this year, 42. James brought him but a yard. Swarmed under by T.J. Barnes. George Georgia Tech and Barnes are this close to 2 overtime losses in the month of September in conference play. A team that was to have contended for the ACC title at season's outset. Can Miami go 2-0? James still again with daylight. James for the end zone. Miami wins.
James on the carry and in for the score.
One of the great comebacks in Miami history. Miami has rallied to overtake Georgia Tech in Grant Field and win it in overtime. The 4th touchdown today by the senior and Mike James.
Final score, Miami 42, Georgia Tech 36.
He exploded off that left side.
You think during the week James might have been saying to himself, not publicly, but to himself, I'll show that freshman.
3 on the ground, 1 through the air, and 24 yards into the victory column today for the Hurricanes in Atlanta. And it's now 4 consecutive seasons that James and Miami have handled Georgia Tech. Explain that.
And again, with all the adversity that Miami was under last year, the continuing cloud hanging overhead of potential NCAA sanctions, how big a win for this group, how much a testament to Al Golden and his staff, keeping these kids focused, keeping them in the 1-2 category, and then they come in here to Georgia Tech. 17 unanswered points in the 4th quarter, and they win in overtime.
609 yards of Miami offense. A hurricane strikes Grant Field and Atlanta. The early outset of this game, 19 unanswered in quarter number 1, and then dominance in the 4th and into overtime. And Steve Burns is with a victorious Al Golden.
Well, Coach, what an emotional victory. Your kids really played hard. How'd you win?
That's a really good football team over there. That's a really good football team. Our kids hung in there. I think we're in excellent condition. They showed a lot of moxie. We got a lot of young kids that just played their tails off today. I'm no problem.
What does this mean to your program to win this game?
It means a lot. Come on the road in the ACC. Be down the way we were. They just keep... They don't know I don't hold up with a white shirt very well. Nice guy.
What was the key to winning this game? What can you put your finger on?
Well, I mean, we just hung in there, right? I mean, we went for the field goal because we thought we were going to stop them. So that means we believed in each other. We believed we were going to kick it deep, stop them, get it back. It didn't work out that way. Then we stopped them anyway, scored. And I just thought we would get them in overtime. I had complete faith, so that's why I played for overtime.
Hey, good luck getting the ice out of your pockets, Coach. Let's go back upstairs.
All right, thank you very much, Steve. His quarterback, sensational, 436 yards, a career day for him, and a remarkable comeback for the Kings.
And I think you've got to point to this, and the coaching staff and the kids can point to this as kind of a turning point for this Miami program under Al Golden.
All right, the Canes coming back. What an afternoon this has been for Keith Jones along with Steve Burns. I'm Paul Kennedy. Your final in overtime. Miami rallies to win 42-36 on this ACC College Football Saturday.